You just happened to pee by the roadside and ended up thrown into prison, labeled as a death row inmate. The reason is, turns out your pee disturbed Princess Qingfeng who was passing by. The emperor got furious and ordered you to be exiled to the frontier. Just when you were utterly hopeless and waiting to die, you accidentally awakened the killing god system. Kill enemies to get stronger. But right now you're just a weak loser with no strength to even fight a chicken. How are you supposed to kill anyone? Before you could even figure it out, the prison door opened. The guard shoved in a burly, scar-faced man. Instead of squatting in a corner, he came straight at you, staring. Your brows furrowed. Just as you started to get up, he pressed your shoulder down hard. You're that guy from Sioux City. You've got the wrong person. You quickly made up a fake name. But inside, alarm bells are ringing. Cut the act. With that dirty face, I'd recognize you anywhere even if you were ashes. You even dared to target Princess Qingfeng. You've got some guts. Your heart sank. He even knows all my secrets. This guy's up to no good. The scar-faced man suddenly sneered and stood up. Every grudge has its vendetta. Someone paid for your life. Be more careful in your next life. Before he even finished speaking, he swung the heavy shackles in his hand, aiming straight for your skull. Your pupils shrank sharply. If that hit lands, your brains will splatter everywhere. You desperately rolled your body to the side. The shackles slammed hard into the wall. Sparks flew everywhere. The impact made your ears buzz. Why would I kill you? Isn't there someone who... I'm all ears. And you won't even let me die knowing why? Also, stop testing me with braised beef. The other death row inmates only glanced coldly. Just a few days and you've gained so much. You wait until nighttime. Gulps down half a bucket of wine in one go. Soft skin, tender flesh. Last comes a skinny old man. Go ahead, on the way to the river. New guy, huh? You want to know who it is? Went out mowing grass. If you ran away, a big oaf built like a tower behind you. Takes 10 buns. A crisp sound rings out in the dark. Swallow the bun in your mouth. He was the one who came on to me. Pretty boy screams in protest. How can someone be so feeble even in a place like this? That's a talent in itself. With nowhere to go, he stayed here. Baldy mounts his horse and rides on. As for me, I'm just an old man who knows his way with poison. It was either him or you. He nods as you eat. Then you really deserve to end up here. From now on, leave all the killing to me. Soldiers bring another basket of buns. Missing his first strike. So thin he looks like a skeleton. His clothes are spotless. Follow me. With that, goatee takes off. Little Sue, you're totally confused. You'll understand soon enough. Grabs a huge spiked club as big as himself. You're stunned watching. Meanwhile, Pretty boy grabs a pitch-black iron rod. No wonder she used to work in a brothel. The weapon she plays with is just as fancy. Walks up next to Skinny Reed. The short guy doesn't answer you. Skinny Reed just laughs. The short guy holds out his hand. His face twisted into a smile uglier than crying. Wasted all these experience packets. These are my weapons. Then look around. Your eyes immediately land on a big broadsword. Because that broadsword, the guard glanced at the scar-faced man on the ground. Looks a lot like the one Yizime lost. Your suspicion grows even stronger. Hey, you like it? No idea, he found it yesterday. Yizime's very own sword. The chains made it impossible to move. Then you all file out of the camp. Behind him is a squad of elite tiger guards. Simply waves to the tiger guard, let's move. Skinny Reed and a few others follow behind Baldy. The tiger guard marches after them.
Hunchback jumps out again to smooth things over, Lord Guan.
You suddenly feel a chilling, murderous aura. At this moment, a soldier brings in a big basket of buns and a bucket of wine. Little Sue, you'd better not say such things. That's just how he is. The reflection on his bald head is blinding. Gets off his horse and stands in front of Skinny Reed. Which direction did Chihu and the others come from? Butterfly escaped from a brothel. They were already dead. The scar-faced guy kicked at you. Their heads were smashed open. The other one is over in the swamp nearby. You were dizzy from hunger. This time, Baldy stops by a small puddle. At death's door. Then headed east. So our guys couldn't keep up. Wait here. Skinny Reed glances disdainfully at the wine bucket. No one else answers you. Only Skinny Reed laughs and says, "Do you really want to run? You'd be a wanted man in the Empire. And yet you have nowhere to go. Until I've had my fill, your strength returns. The next morning, you used every bit of strength to ram into him. Wait, why didn't you kill me along the way? His foot hadn't even landed, and you knocked him straight to the ground. All the stamina spent fighting was instantly restored. Everyone lines up as usual. Its aroma hitting you right in the nose. The days after that are hellish. The other inmates looked dead inside, heading to the chaotic frontier. Use the chains to choke his neck. Be careful you don't get poisoned. He struggled desperately. I'll skin you alive. But you can't help wanting to sneak glances at that shiny head. Go ask the king of hell yourself. No problem. Things up north have been restless lately. Go. You glare right back, not backing down. But you've lost all reason. The only thought in your mind is to strangle him. The group moves in silence. One of them gets aggravated by you. You killed someone. Who's there? Get out. Makes everyone crave them. Officer, I was sleeping like the dead. The ground suddenly started to shake. So this is what killing enemies means. Even Hunchback grew silent. Blood soaks the ground beneath him. No chance to dodge at all. 2 credits if you bring 1 out deal. You instantly allocated the 0.5 points to Constitution. Warmth flooded through your body in an instant. But the shackles were sliced open. You even feel stronger than before. We'll all die together. You glance at your status panel again. And a foreigner in the northern wastes. After getting Unibro's approval, Skinny Reed grins and asks you, "What a joke." Everyone was totally shocked by the scene. Seems just right for me. I admire you. You're a real man. They flinched under your stare, all shrinking their necks. You grab 5 meat buns. Just then, already stiff, the one brow guide gives you a cold stare. You quickly wiped the blood from your face. You instantly get goosebumps. What are you looking at? How could there be 2 swords this identical in the world? So, what are you good at? They're basically 4 walking XP bags. With a loud roar, you rushed forward. But you were nearly going mad. Last is a small figure wrapped in a black robe. Too exhausted, you drift off into sleep. He doesn't ask further. The short guy's got it the worst. Iron rod hits the ground. You even wanted to gnaw on the walls. If they don't feed me soon.
His master was a dark sorcerer.
Find out what they're up to. But damn, does it feel good the next morning? Finally, the guard notified you all to get moving. No system notification sound. It's a 1 in 10 chance to survive. While you stand your ground, then how do you explain the blood on your shackles? Grabs 2 buns, each finding a place to sit. More chaos means more enemies. I'll make sure you live long enough to reach the frontier. And maybe grab something to eat. You were unlucky and chained at the very front. On the road, Unibro threw you a bag. Constitution 1.6, that's some good stuff. Slowing the pace down. Then why bother untying me? Are you a turtle? Boss, look at that bastard. You grit your teeth and forced yourself ahead, speeding up your pace. We'll just say you died. Next time, I'll give you a better one. Countless wild tribe heads hang in rows. You're too exhausted to move. Splitting this with you, what do you think he's after, you wonder? Funny how fate works out. You followed with a blank expression. The soldiers happily munched on dried meat. Innkeeper urges them on, watching the soldiers eat. You felt it would be easier not to look. So you leaned against a tree and tried to rest. This up-the-mountain tiger has quite the style of Decker. All in all, it's a meat grinder. Dead dogs. Only you are awake and huddled in the corner. Oh heavens! You're shocked, so all these masters were right at my side. Horses were already closing in. 5 men in light armor rode up to the edge of the woods, yet still had to drag everyone forward. You and he are doomed. You stare at him. Your appetite shot up too. They were obviously here for blood. You and Pretty Boy sneak up and take them out. Your heart skipped a beat. You keep approaching step by step. You ask, confused, where did this sword come from? And a black horse dashes out. Just eats messily. I'll remember this grudge. Why are you covered in blood? Meanwhile, in the night, Straight Brow steps in front of you again. And these shackles were only replaced yesterday. With a flattering look, turns out you're a coward. All you could do was raise your hands to block. Brazenly admits he wants your protection. You have to squint your eyes. In that case, the night passes uneventfully. Looking down, we have to look out for each other. You were chained to the others. Skinny Horsebowl teases. You waved your hand. There was a crisp clang. I'm not leaving. Then you sneer. You guys not eating. You haven't read a single word. But you reacted faster. Chilling blow, enemy killed. Being the boss in the death row cell must have felt powerful, huh? The bearded man's head rolled straight to the ground. No one expected. Chopped down on his forearm with the edge of your hand. You took it from the guards. Would turn into the killer the next. The more chaotic the frontier, the better. It's all yours. Everyone quiets down for the night. The cell falls dark once more. At the same time, heavenly music sounded in your mind. Until the sun breaks through the morning mist. And standing before them, sure enough, there's blood on them. The leader, with a bushy beard, looked murderous. Killed enemy. Reward plus 0.6 attribute points. Good! You're in a killing frenzy now. But his face turns dark after laughing. Maybe you should give me another new pair, officer. That's the smell of the battlefield. Only the lower half remains. What a waste. You look completely indifferent. Spit out what? Just tell me what you want, if I can do it. They clearly weren't scared. Baldy nods. Until the sun comes up, screaming as they charged at you again. Skull Demon drools hungrily. Outside, a bald guy stands in the clearing. Like a loach. Without yesterday's attribute boost. You swung your blade to meet them. Annoyed, you ask him, what's your name? Instead, you fight even harder. The shock makes their hands go numb. Unibro told the exile team to keep moving. Didn't think much else. Didn't eat today or what? At noon. You think that little strength is enough to kill me? Officer, I can catch fish. You taunt as you fight. Skinny Reed starts to introduce the group, drinking as he speaks. System prompt. Kill count increased by 1. Attribute point plus 0.5. He shows a weakness. A flash of golden light appears in your eyes. You slash him down to the ground. He's not dead yet, so you prepare to finish him off. Sees one eye dead on the floor. You shake your shackles. Suddenly, a squad of soldiers jumps out of the bush behind you. One brow laughs loudly. Only surviving thanks to Hunchback's stolen food. What kind of criminal dares attack government troops? Seeing the situation turn bad, the remaining 3 assassins. You look innocent. What's inside? You curse under your breath. A broadsword whistles through the air toward you. Both of you froze for a second. Everyone scrambles for it. System. Attribute point added successfully. Attribute points rewarded. 0.2. Skinny Horsebowl says, since you're new, we don't use real names here. Juji Izime hasn't walked over yet. Was it really an accident? Who buries himself in the basket, eating like mad. Maybe I could become a general. Staring at the corpse on the ground. You did this? Why? You swallowed hard. The Empire wants you, and so do the Northerners. As if telling you, before you could even recover from the shock. You're surprised? Your surname's Zhang? Then turns and walks away. You don't dodge, you meet his fist head on and hit back hard.
He hooked up with the princess and got sent here.
Who are they anyway? You stare at Baldy. Straight-browed officer gives you a deep look. We'll go check things out. Wants me dead? Never met anyone eager to be called a turtle before. You get goosebumps watching. He has someone change your shackles for a new set. Actually, he noticed everything already. Baldy mounts his horse. Not at all. I'm the one who lost out. Okay? Don't listen to their nonsense. How does a death row prisoner starving for days? It's not an ideal weapon. After this, it's sorted by kill count. You'll have plenty to cry about. Back on shore, Straight Brow glances at the fish on the ground. You're taking on 4 at once and not losing ground at all. You're all locked up in the guest house cell. With an anticipatory expression. Can't do it. Straight Brow looks grim. Especially that square-faced guy. You're left alone in the cell. The innkeeper brings in cornbread. Only Square-Face doesn't dare move. Just about to lose your temper. Constitution 4.9. Remaining attribute points 1.7. If you don't take it, I'm taking it. A crisp sound of bone cracking rings through the cell. And start to pick your own weapon. Not bad. Where were you all? You managed to walk 30 miles at once, thinking this place really lives up to its reputation. That killing intent instantly vanishes, no trace of it left. Your wrist wasn't broken. Just as he tries to get up, you move too. You pick up the sword and inspect it closely. When she kills, the flower on her face looks like a butterfly fluttering. Ever since your constitution increased. He looks terrified. Don't go too far. You weren't worried about going too far when you sold me. Hunchback actually stops to seriously consider it. Soon, everyone except you and Hunchback had gone up the mountain. Didn't have time to react. The group finally stopped for a rest at the edge of the forest. You raise your shackles and smash down. Grills the fish and servilely brings some to the guards first. Squareface screams and begs the innkeeper for help. Help murder this cursed place. You really underestimate me. In despair, Squareface looks like he's about to fight you to the death. System notification. Congratulations, host, for killing an enemy. Remaining attribute points, 0.3. Looks like killing weaklings isn't worth it. If we don't reach the relay station by nightfall. Early the next morning. But you don't dampen his spirits. The bearded man sneered and advanced. And hurl your broadsword with all your power, not intending to intervene at all. You saw their massive, tower-like figures. From the distance came his cold voice, and casually tosses it on the ground. You finally get to leave this birdcage. Strangely, no one dares eat. All the prisoners are staring at you. Stop with the jinxing. Flattering look, big bro. Who would have thought it'd make its way right back to you? There's steaming braised beef on the table. Seems like none of them are nice people. If you don't, we wouldn't dare even if we had the guts. He chopped down with his sword, the wind whistling. That pretty boy is an aide to the prince. Another crack, sharp as a twig snapping, leads your group away from the main team. Chip, only 0.1 for trash like that. Looks like it was meant for you. You were scheming how to escape. He swallowed hard. His hands clawed wildly at your face. Just then, Straightbrow comes in on inspection. Who did this? The cell falls silent. Only the sound of you chewing cornbread. You laugh out loud at that. Looking down from above, how did he die? How would I know? Attribute points rewarded, 0.1. Straightbrow stares at you. You look down at your shackles. This world is so big. You have no way to explain where the blood came from. Weird, huh? How did my shackles end up with blood? Straightbrow's face turns livid with anger. The cell door suddenly opens. Skull Demon tries to fight for it. One brow comes for inspection. This hand, or your nutrition won't reach your chest. Death row prisoners dying en route is normal. So you just stop in your tracks. A cold mechanical sound suddenly echoed in your mind. Maybe I'll be next. Right, Officer Guan? The cell door opens. Straightbrow stares hard at you. The group continues on the road, and only 2 cornbreads in your belly. Everyone else has picked their weapons. You slow down at the front, looking at your pathetic stats on the panel, and the whole group has to slow down with you. Where's your swagger from yesterday? Forcing down your temper, and snatches them away. I've got plenty of ways to deal with you. You quicken your pace, even cancels breakfast. Blood flows like crazy. You have to keep your head down. The group stops to rest by a small river. The death row inmates collapse like piles of mush. He walks over to the shelves. You sit down and rub your legs. You click your tongue in amazement. Go fetch water, everyone's thirsty. Courting death, you don't even flinch. Your gaze swept intensely at the other death row inmates in the corner. You grab the sword from his hands. The air froze. Baldy sees the group come out. One eye collapses, scrambling back. The guards remove the chain linking everyone together. That the lamp to the slaughter 1 second. Watch him. Don't let him try anything. You fill the bucket at the river and come back. Like they're looking at a dead man. Straightbrow walks up to you. How did you get in here? It's got some fun stuff inside. Just as you're about to catch your breath. Twists gruesomely from the pain. You don't know what's good for you. Unibro's face turned green. He was knocked back a step. When they were crossing the swamp, the scouts suddenly sped up. You roll your eyes. Sorry, can't do it. If you want to leave, you dare defy orders? Nobody ever comes out alive. He shouted and rushed up. Straightbrow puts his hand on his sword hilt. First get water, now catch fish. As his balance shifted, you get straight to the point. Are you going to have me cook and feed you next? And surprisingly left without a word. Our guys lost them. He unlocks them as Straightbrow orders. I'm a death row prisoner, not your servant. Some have already rotted to bear skulls. The hunchback grins and sidles up to you. Things are dangerous along the way. Back in my hometown, I was somebody too. Nah, my surname's Go, dog. And I still owe you a blade. But this guy's got some real skills. Wearing shackles, he dives straight into the water. The cold wind carried a stench of blood. In no time, he tosses out several big fish. They're already gone, like he's trying to read something from your face. Some were Imperial soldiers. Clean and roast them. You roll your eyes skyward. No, look at these bloody hands. You're getting upset too. You were so hungry your eyes glowed green every day. Pretty boy chimes in. Better stay away from him. That execution-bound prisoner from earlier bends over and comes closer, dragging a long line of people behind you. They're clearly using you as an example. Won't I be unstoppable in this hellhole? You stiffen your neck. I can grill, it's a family skill. As soon as you say that, you felt insanely powerful. But you nearly laughed out loud. You went feral. Another one coming to die. Everyone keeps far away from you. Officer, how do I work in these? Then why is he so pale? Your steps are clearly heavier. What did you do? And order someone to toss a bag of salt to Hunchback. You slump to the ground. As the sound of clashing metal rings out, he curls his lip in a mocking smile, quietly trying to comfort you. Just put up with it, and it'll pass. I think you should be called Ninja Turtle. Skinny Reed spits out his wine. Boss, those pears look so refreshing. The cell was peaceful. Then grins and says, not a bad name, honestly. Surprisingly, that tyrant actually nods. Then sneaks back over and slips you half a cornbread bun. You patted his shoulder. The hoofbeats gradually faded away. Hunchback was so anxious he was scratching his head. You ask, aren't they afraid we'll run? You roll your eyes, pretending nothing happened. If you want to go, just go. It's like you just asked the dumbest question. Hoists it onto his shoulder. Nice, just save this 0.2 for now. Snagged it early this morning. Pressing down on you from Baldy. What are you waiting for? Leading them is that straight-browed officer. Boss, eat up. Looking at those remaining 4 assassins.
He chuckles awkwardly.
If I can kill 500 wildmen, having a dream is still something. Doesn't even raise an eyelid? Hurry up and untie me. You want to die together or what? But he weirdly calmed down quickly. Marching all day. Serving the guards all night. You're starving, seeing green spots. Living off cornbread and banking attribute points. Instead, he points at it with his whip. You still haven't used them. Screams echo all around. They're your ace in the hole. Don't know. By the time we got here. Brows in one line is furious. On the 10th day, one brow. That bastard calls you into the room. Looks like someone's trying to make sure you don't survive the journey. Officer, I'm wondering too. Why are you helping me? Once everyone had returned to the hollow. Probably wondering. We're all people with our heads hanging by a thread. He takes a bite. 2 of them died right here. Their gaze is contemptuous. Finally, he gives a cold snort and walks off. Or we'll both die. You glare at him. I'm starving, but I won't eat scraps thrown at me. If you cause more trouble. Skinny Reed nods, all right. Boss, I made it all up. Straight Brow tosses a water bucket into your lap. Just watch me, then a new group gets brought in. More than 50 people crowd into the cell. Just as you sit hunchback. Sneaks out 2 more cornbread buns for you, who wolfs them down in a few bites. Attribute point plus 0.5 awarded. At noon, the group rests in a mountain hollow. Feels pretty comfortable. It's a one-eyed guy. Not bad. It's over, he got away. You straddled him and... System prompt. Kill count increased by 1. Consider a tribute to your elder. Turned him into this monstrous state. You stared hard at the square-jawed guy, but gets kicked aside. You shake your head in disbelief. Those cavalrymen look at you strangely. Unibrow whistled up at the mountain. The volcano inside you finally erupts. A warm current explodes inside you. And say quietly, do you think I went too far? When the sun's at its hottest, and walk toward One Eye. How can someone from the Central Plains have such strength? One Eye is still blustering. Unibrow flew into a rage. His roar startled the birds from the woods. The corner of his mouth curling into a cold sneer. Damn soldiers showed up too early. No one dares draw bad luck to themselves. You think I'm scared of you? Blood splattering everywhere. A murderer, huh? Have the strength to kill Imperial guards? A guard came for inspection. No kills, no food. When you opened it, they want to finish it quickly. Stay put. 1 kill and you get stronger. Don't worry, he's a good kid. There are really some hidden talents here. One eye's arm goes limp. The door opens and in comes a goateed man. Broken bone pierces through flesh. The soldiers unlocked his chains. Shakes his head and leaves. But you show no emotion. Gasping for breath. And keep closing in. One eye's eyes go bloodshot from the pain. Lowered your voice and said pairs. He pulls out a sharpened iron rod and thrusts it at your throat. You lean against the wall. Orders everyone to march. His arm breaks in two. The more corpses there were. Only terror in his eyes now. You nod? Just turns and leaves. Looking down at him. There are 2 sentries up ahead. Says 3 scouts watered their horses there. So this is the murderous psychopath with dozens of kills. Not counted as enemies. The bearded leader pointed his sword at Sioux City. Tough bones. Huh. His eyeless face. That's some backbone. You slash the one on the ground again. You pick up the iron rod, testing the murder weapon in your hand. Your eyes roam over him. You didn't even have time to curse. And don't ask any more. You can only be sent to Tiger Mite Camp to die. As if searching for the next spot to strike, the hoofbeats got closer and closer. One eye finally breaks down. Northern Frontier is truly a leveling paradise. Ended up here because I accidentally stabbed my master. I never have the guts to kill anyone. I have a way to check. Then roars, you're playing me. Trying to act tough when you're marked for death. Unibro put the beef away. Not even as a ghost will I. You urged, untie me. You don't hesitate. With a bright red flower on her face. Thud, the iron rod pierces his throat. But the innkeeper doesn't even look. Skinny Reed just laughs. Then a pale, good-looking young man enters. That night, Skinny Reed nods again. Instead of retreating, you move forward. That's my box. System, kill count +1. He nods. Butterfly sneers. They scared off your XP bags. 2 burly men block your way at the gate. The 2 hard, black steamed buns from the guard couldn't fill the gaps between your teeth. Desert North tribes call killing mowing grass. In frustration, Unibro gritted his teeth and pulled out the key. I'm here to kill people. The cell falls deathly silent. He knows he's being targeted. Before the words finished, you go silent, there really is nowhere to go. The group travels for another half day. You sighed regretfully. Fear of a true lunatic. He felt as if he'd been pardoned. Only Hunchback has a mixed look in his eyes. But you don't regret it. Browse in one line roars from the side. He'd seen you kill before, but never saw you torture someone like this. Everyone looks at you differently now. You sit back in the corner. Skinny Horsebull explains. Blood splattered everywhere.
Hunchback shakes his head quickly.
System notice, kill count +1. Hunchback fell silent. Boss, killing one makes an example for all, but had no choice but to follow. Hunchback wasn't lying. No one will dare mess with us now. Warmth surged throughout your body. Probably because Princess Qingfeng saw my equipment. I really just wanted him dead. Don't take it to heart. That's right. Unibro suddenly started laughing wildly. Hunchback goes silent. Has killed dozens, huh? You wrapped the iron chains around your fists. Leads the way at the front of the group. Several wild tribe members are tied to stakes being tortured. You instantly increased your constitution. Needs a way out. Only you know you're being honest. He's got nothing to do with Buddha. The barbarian's curved blades glinted with cold light. 20 prisoners were chained together like grasshoppers. This 0.1 gain is small. The wild tribe members are horrified. He whistles. He delicately picks up a bun with his pinky raised, but says nothing. No regrets about anything. Strength is everything. And leaves. Butterfly sis, even though you're hungry, just as you were about to fall asleep, and some were unlucky guys in death row uniforms. Catch that knife from me. If you want my life, you're not lagging behind. The other is shattered to pieces. A man with a square jaw who'd been in your cell jumped out and pointed at you. A few wild pear trees on the hillside, loaded with fruit. On the other side, 2 barbarians swung their blades at you, though they're not fully ripe. Unsure why he's suddenly asking this. Too bad none of them showed murderous intent toward me. Only the short guy is left. Eat it. What? I'm your master now. I'm going to starve to death while leveling up. The tart fragrance. Someone bravely asks one brow for permission. One of his hands is useless. Inside you're fuming. I swear I'll kill that bastard someday. His body's already been half-eaten by wolves. Instead of retreating, you charged ahead. Who knows how long it took? The death row inmates charge up the hill like mad, climbing the trees like monkeys, hacking at the branches. Almost everyone else went up the mountain. The short guy saved them for you. He doesn't approach the water. You bastard, let go of that pair. I'll send you on your way. Only you and Unibro were left in the mountain hollow. Your eyes met. By the moonlight, with a backhand swing, you slashed down. Finally, he walked over. When you're under someone else's roof, price 1 credit if you catch them alive. The old man sits next to you with a smile. Did you kill that man last night? They point you toward the Tiger Valor camp. If you kill a few more. He shouted at you from his horse. Why are you dragging your feet? The reason is he tried to steal my cornbread. Not at all. Then you just enjoy killing people by nature. The next few days, a filthy hand shoots out of nowhere. Only lunatics want to become generals. That's a death wish. Spit it out. Immediately turn and run. You remembered the system for a bit. Ah, my hand? It's just an empty reputation. Then nodded. His laughter made you uneasy. You looked surprised at the short guy in the basket. What other reason do you need?
He stared at you and said, since you love killing so much.
Then a woman with a full chest. Then I'll send you to hell first. The 2 wild tribe members are shaken back 3 steps. You charge in and start pounding wildly, face full of provocation. It's either him or me. You were dumbfounded. Explain yourself clearly. Just nicknames. You can call me Skinny Horsebowl. It was braised beef. You sneered. Without looking back, he walked heavily into the camp. You turn around and leave. With that, he turned and walked off. Soon after, they hadn't noticed you yet. The mood instantly turns icy. The soldiers and prisoners on the mountain began coming back down. All right, then call me Wang Wang. Again, both man and blade are split in 2. One eye is dumbstruck. Pick up the pace. Come with me, everyone. Swallow your buns right now. Walked much more briskly. You decide to keep your distance from this sissy. Hunchback burped and came over to you. Kill count, 1. Reward, plus 0.5 attribute points. As steady as a mountain.
You nod.
You stand up. You both lay in the grass, barely daring to breathe. Boss, sorry about that. How many slashes can you take? The death row inmates snatch at the water like starving wolves. Hunchback is deftly gutting fish. Before you could speak, physique 2.3, remaining 0.3. Now it all makes sense. This must be. Couldn't get you a pair. All your exhaustion vanished. Aren't important. Old dog, have you heard of Tiger Might Camp? But they've also killed the most northern barbarians. I was an apprentice butcher. Take whatever you want today.
It's a massacre.
You first. You're momentarily surprised. People call me Wave Rider. Says nothing more. Hunchback's face went white. Carrying a lantern. Where would you even go? He uses death row prisoners as cannon fodder. That's basically hell for death row inmates. But with Skinny Reed's chuckle. This place is perfect for me. Tiger Might Camp will be your grave. Sound cut off in an instant. How do you know I escaped from the northern wastes? Goatee leads you all to a camp full of weapons. That place is run by Shang Shanhu. I don't eat beef. The big guy really is insanely strong. You can go right now. Crack, the scimitar snaps in 2. It has the highest death rate. You snapped your eyes open. You check your panel. Hope I don't get assigned there. If they want fish, tell them to catch it themselves. Sounds good. Hunchback looked at you like you were nuts. Are you serious? Didn't kill dozens, I swear. 5 poison old ghost claims to be just an ordinary old man. Just then, Baldy stops. For you, that's the perfect place to level up. The soldier comes back again. For a killer, that really is paradise. You can openly kill people there, and the targets are northern barbarians. Squareface finally can't hold back. You glance at your stats. I kept quiet, but now even you dare to walk all over me? Those barbarians really didn't leave. Unibro sat on his horse. Simple, go ask your master yourself. My name is Su Cheng.
His laughter stopped abruptly.
Looking at you coldly. Innkeeper brings food. You crawled to the corner of the cell. Once you get to Tiger Mite Camp, the big guy is a young master from a southern gang. The group reached the edge of the northern frontier, but he specifically tells them to keep a close eye on you. Some were northern barbarians. Accounting, he tosses a book to Skinny read. The lead escort had straight brows, but you just laughed after hearing it. It only got put on the rack yesterday. Maybe you could go to a regular camp. I'm not a murderer. Just a little salt will do. But he doesn't need a weapon. Most had their heads cut off, afraid they'd see their own future. You grin back. What the hell is Tiger Mite Camp? Then that hunchbacked, shifty guy suddenly leans in. You took a hard kick to the chest. A few days later, in front of a military camp, picks up a box, grab 2 cornbreads and start eating. How are they a threat? As long as you kill those you deem enemies, you get rewards. When you look back and can't see Baldy, he's eating half and throwing away the other half. You arrive at the Tiger Valor camp. If you don't want to die, get over here. Eat more. Skinny Reed points at the short guy. Much obliged for everything, Su Cheng. Straight Brow yells beside you. Finally, he stopped moving beneath you. Mowing grass means
Take care, old dog.
the farther north you went. Big bro, just watch my skills in a second. I've killed dozens of people. As soon as these words fell, strength flooded your body. I heard that name in prison, while he was stunned. Finally, you run into a squad of Imperial Patrol Cavalry. When you become a general, remember to save me. His shoulders slumped. You're back, was probably your final farewell. The last wild tribe guy realizes things are bad. You sling the broadsword onto your shoulder. A soldier takes you to a dimly lit cell. Quit joking with me. It killed his master. Unibro pointed beside his horse, as if you were already a dead man. Some food for the road. Remaining attribute points 0.2. Even though you tried your best to dodge, so scared he doesn't even dare lift his head, you threw it back untouched. The death row inmates were too scared to look up. The smell wafted right into your nose. That club must weigh hundreds of pounds. Host, Su Cheng Physique 2.3. I don't want to say it a second time. Eyes flashing with even more killing intent. You point at the box and ask, is that your weapon? This is the final test. You let out a cold laugh. Who is it? Step up and face death. If you'd eaten. But since you refused, he instantly notices Squareface, already stone cold. Tonight, you and I. They don't glance at you. Unibro tied your hands and feet securely, then went to sleep himself. You obediently take your place at the end. Boss, why are you asking about that? Other death row inmates heading to Tiger Mite Camp looked at you gleefully. In the middle of the night, thunderous hoofbeats woke you. Save it for yourself in your next life. You like this rule. You rub your eyes. You punch the scimitar with your fist. Your senses were sharper than a beast's. Don't move. Northern Barbarian Cavalry. Trying to act tough, but he's pissed off now. The big guy. You whisper to Skinny Reed, why is there a monk in the military camp? Unibro suddenly pinned you down. I like killing people. Shaking the ground. No way! The chains will make noise and give us away. Not talking about the past. Straight Brow gives him a glance. You slash fiercely at his head. You are deadlocked. Get ready to move out. Reward. Attribute point 0.1. He throws a punch at your face. Unibro let out a sigh of relief. Now I can untie you. That's not fair, I'm about to die. What if they double back? All you could do was stare and swallow your saliva. Dead men don't need to know. Looking at the fervor in your eyes. Before the words left your lips. The prisoners, full of pears. The whip is lined with backwards-facing barbs. Everyone immediately springs into action. A shout exploded above you, just as the chains came off. I'll go with him. Several shadows surrounded you. When you see him caressing the rod. These northern barbarians were as strong as bears. I just want to make it to the frontier alive. Their muscles bulged like granite. You look scrawny as a chick, thinking this must be the end. Don't cause trouble, he says, and pushes you in. A group of blood-soaked men come in. You instantly saw 3 men, 3 burly giant guys. This is the strength that crushes Imperial soldiers. His face darkens. You swallow hard. When that old maniac Unibro suddenly drew his blade and charged out. You cursed. Brows in one line doesn't hand you over to the soldiers. Sparks flew everywhere, while the barbarian didn't budge. Level up, System prompt, level up succeeded. A stream of warmth surged through you. Sparks fly. Even the cell comes with its own corpse. They're stunned. Their moves are a mess. You can't be bothered to waste words. Waves his fingers, their nails glinting with a cold shine. You can kill enemies and upgrade, even though you're strong. And you can't take them down right away. Skinny Reed nods with satisfaction. You grab it with one hand, so you can kill all you want. That wild tribe member looks terrified. Before he can react, the strength difference was huge. You slice off his head with one swing. System prompt, kill count increased by 1. Attribute point plus 0.5. You nod. Another wild tribe member named Anda charges at you. Eyes red. Brows in one line is completely stunned. This isn't a fight. Why not go down and ask them yourself? Turns and runs. It carries him away instantly. Damn, he's going to get reinforcements. Did he ask me if he could run? You can't catch up. Gather all your strength. You flip him with the shackles, sending him flying. Only 10 of you were left. Even before stepping through the gates. With a sickening thunk, the long blade pierces through his back. But he doesn't fall off, feeling frustrated. Can't you see the brothers are starving? His voice was shaking. He clings to the horse's back. Butterfly laughs in the darkness. You calmly clap your hands and say, relax, he's dead for sure. Hurry, we can't stay here any longer. Yesterday, 3 clansmen were found here. But if they catch you again, you travel through the night. After crossing over a hill, go catch a few fish from the river. The overwhelming smell of blood almost makes you vomit. On the main gate's crossbeam, hunchback, quick and skillful. It's about to blow up. Skinny Reed nods. The rest, come with me. Never mind then. Crows peck at the scraps of flesh above. Brows in one line sneers. You roll your eyes. Count yourself lucky. The last batch all died. Afraid? You grin and say, what's there to be scared of? Heard you're a condemned criminal. That pent-up rage. A tank this skinny. You enter the camp, their flesh mangled and torn. Butterfly picks a long whip. You can't fight City Hall. Just leaves on his own. Swinging it back, you slashed horizontally. And disappears into the night. He shuts the door. The cell is pitch dark. You take a step and trip. It's a dead body. But before you can grab them, Unibro's broadsword collided with their curved blades violently. Everyone's exhausted like. A month later, cursing as he drags the corpse away. Everyone, get your stuff together. No wonder the numbers were off last time. Slip in the waves. Turns out someone died in here. Half awake, half asleep, with your doubled constitution. Brows in one line appears at the door. You look up at the pale sky. Are you trying to challenge me? What the heck are you speaking in code or something? Regret anything? His whole gang's been wiped out. As you searched your memory, what are you referring to? Brows in one line keeps walking, with system buffs, and turns to leave. Skinny Reed hands you 5 buns. The cold-faced guy rolled his eyes. He seems to have accepted the nickname Young Master Kidney Deficiency. You glanced around nervously. You ask in confusion, where are the sentinels? Why haven't I seen them? I haven't seen them either. I'm just going by what he said. Skinny Horse pointed to the short guy next to him as he spoke. You curiously asked when he actually spoke. Why didn't I hear anything? When you were laughing just now, he pointed ahead. Then he held up 2 fingers. You were so shocked your jaw nearly dropped. Damn, is that really possible? On the battlefield, you need to observe more. Not only should you watch out for enemies, you also need to learn how to work with teammates. Enough, you can learn the rest later. Go get the job done first. You followed Young Master Kidney Deficiency quietly forward. Sure enough, it didn't take long before you saw 2 horses grazing up ahead. The wild tribe's horses didn't have saddles or bits. At first glance, you might think they're wild horses, but their owners are usually nearby. Young Master Kidney Deficiency was afraid you wouldn't see them. Northern wild tribesmen. He even pointed out a small pit beside the horses for you, hinting that the wild tribe people were hiding in there. You nodded. Young Master Kidney Deficiency and you moved to encircle the pit from both sides. On the way to get closer to the wild tribe, you quietly added your attribute points. A warm current instantly filled your body. No food could ever bring this feeling. Precious supplies. System prompt. Points added successfully. Remaining attribute points, 1.6. You licked your lips. Gripping your broadsword, you rushed forward. Young Master Kidney Deficiency, still approaching the water pit in the distance, was startled. Wasn't the plan to sneak up quietly? Why is this guy charging in all of a sudden? Young Master Kidney Deficiency was about to retreat immediately. Plan changed. Decided to sacrifice his teammate without hesitation. A few people in the distance watching you and Young Master Kidney Deficiency looked completely unfazed. Skinny Horse still grinned. The big guy and the short guy didn't even care what was happening up front. Only Butterfly was silently muttering as he watched. Seems normal enough. Too bad he's just another reckless kid. Skinny Bean chuckled. Don't jump to conclusions. Let's watch a little longer. Situations change in a split second on the battlefield. Young Master Kidney Deficiency was busy retreating, while you were charging ahead. Just as Young Master Kidney Deficiency ran back carrying his iron staff, he heard a scream from the distance. Young Master Kidney Deficiency began silently mourning you. He's never seen anyone fight like this. People from the north aren't that easy to take down. How could you just run straight at them like that? But as Young Master Kidney Deficiency reached Butterfly, he saw him staring ahead in utter shock. Stop watching. That kid's definitely dead by now. What a pity, he just got here yesterday. Butterfly cut Young Master Kidney Deficiency off. Wow, that's brutal, muttered Young Master Kidney Deficiency in confusion as he turned to look. Then his jaws dropped in shock.
He saw you, bloody from head to toe, standing by the pit.
Right in front of you was a wild tribesman, split in half by your blade. The tribesman's face still twisted in anger, but his body slowly collapsed. You wiped the blood from your face. Another figure darted out from behind you. It was another wild tribesman, but this one didn't charge at you. He ran straight for his horse, clearly trying to escape. But how could you possibly let him? You took off, running straight at him. Raising your broadsword, you brought it down on the tribesman. Just as you reached his horse, your broadsword came down. Sword powered by your strength. Strength powered by your sword's momentum. You brought down a wave of killing intent and struck the tribesman. After a light slicing sound, the wild tribesman, even the horse, was split in two by your blade. System prompt, kills +1. Reward, attribute point plus 0.5. System prompt, kills +1. Reward, attribute point plus 0.5. The system prompt sound chimed 2 more times. You stood there, covered in blood, like a demonic warrior. Your face showed pure satisfaction. Young Master Kidney Deficiency dropped his jaw wide enough to fit 3 iron staffs.
He dumbly swallowed his saliva
And blurted out, "Beast." Skinny Bean smiled. Told you so. Don't draw conclusions so quickly. Butterfly spoke up with a complicated look in his eyes. We really underestimated him. He's almost as strong as the big guy now. Skinny Horse shook his head. Not the same. The big guy's Wolf-tooth mace weighs a few hundred pounds. Killing isn't all about physical strength. For once, the big guy chimed in. It's definitely not the same. If it were me, they'd be nothing but a pile of meat. When the big guy talked about meat pies, the short guy stuck out a dark red tongue and licked his lips. Seemed to be hungry.
He barely managed to close his mouth.
You'd already walked back over? Now you're completely covered in blood. But you didn't care about any of that. Instead, you took a piece of cloth and carefully wiped your broadsword clean. Skinny Horse grinned and walked up. Nice job. You smiled awkwardly. I was in such a rush earlier, I forgot to keep one alive. Doesn't matter, they were just 2 sentry scouts. Not seeing Skinny Horse blame you. You felt a little relieved. But you found the others looking at you strangely. At least Butterfly was better about it. He always kept a cool expression. But why was Young Master Kidney Deficiency looking at you so weirdly? You even felt a hint of danger. That sense never hit you, even when fighting the 2 northern wild tribesmen. Never once before. With a questioning look, you glance at Young Master Kidney Deficiency, who quickly smiled. Pretty tough. Took care of them all yourself. But you didn't care. Young Master Kidney Deficiency just left you behind earlier. Doing it alone is even better. Saves him from stealing your experience. Next time, let me handle it alone. No way. Can't always leave it to you to do all the work. You grinned, it's fine. I like killing. The 2 of you were still talking when Skinny Horse interrupted. Enough chit-chat. Now that their scouts are gone, They'll figure it out fast. We need to hurry and find their main force. Everyone nodded and kept moving. This time, they didn't search blindly. Since the Wild Tribe's scouts had already appeared, their main force couldn't be far. Based on past experience, the Wild Tribe's scouts are usually spread a couple of miles around their main troops, so they should run into the main force soon. Sure enough, about 15 minutes later, the short guy suddenly held out his hand and let out a low growl to the front right. This time, Skinny Horse didn't need to explain. You knew too that there were northern wild tribesmen ahead. The main force is here. Everyone, get ready. With Skinny Horse's command, everyone started checking their weapons. The big guy gripped his Wolf-tooth mace. Young Master Kidney Deficiency started stroking his iron staff. Shumagan opened the box carried on the short guy's back. He took out a small red bottle. He sprinkled the powder inside onto Wadi's whip. But the short guy had no weapon, so he just licked his own fingernails. You must be the most normal one among this group. You've already wiped your broadsword clean. After everyone was ready, Shuma again led everyone off to the front right. You're feeling a little excited now. You just came out for half a day and already gained an attribute point. You really have those wild tribesmen to thank for that. And now you're about to face them again. But before you could even see the main force of the wild tribe, you heard a series of roars coming from afar. After a few people crossed a small hill, you saw a group in the distance fighting each other. You looked closely. It was the Empire's people and the wild tribesmen fighting. The Imperial Army was a mixed group. There were soldiers, and there were also ordinary people. From those commoners, you recognized their familiar clothes. They were a group of death row prisoners. At that moment, the army was commanding the prisoners to charge. Even though those death row inmates had no weapons or armor, they could only grit their teeth and rush forward. Because if they dared turn back, a broadsword would instantly come down on their heads. Anyone who deserted would die. Rushing forward was the only slim hope of survival. These death row prisoners had no choice, and the wild tribesmen didn't hesitate. They brandished their curved blades, charged on horseback just once, and wiped out over half of the prisoners. The remaining death row inmates broke down on the spot. Some just knelt on the ground, dazed, watching the headless corpses before them spraying blood. The next moment, their world spun, and they became another headless corpse in someone else's eyes. Some ran away in terror. Some ran toward the Imperial troops. But what greeted them were cold broadswords. Others ran toward the grasslands, hoping to escape this hell on earth. But the wild tribesmen chased right after them, claiming their lives. The death row prisoners were no match for the wild tribesmen. They were soon all killed or wounded. You stood on the hilltop, silently watching everything. If you were just a regular person, you'd probably be lying on that grassland right now. At that moment, the Imperial troops below finally made a move. But they didn't charge at the wild tribesmen. Instead, they mounted their horses and fled into the distance. You were stunned. Did they really just run off? Weren't they supposed to charge now? Shangsu Gongzi snorted coldly. Only a few taels of silver a month. Why would they risk their lives? Their human shields are all dead. Of course they're retreating. You frowned. At this moment, Shumagan spoke. It's our turn now. Remember, leave their little leader alive. With Shumagan's command, you heard a wild roar in your ear. The big fool swung his arm in a full circle, grabbed the short guy by the arm, and hurled him out hard. The short guy let out a strange scream in Knitter, landed steadily on the ground, and then charged at the wild tribesman on all fours. The big fool behind him was just as fierce, leaping several meters with each step. He swung his spiked mace, as easily as Shangsu Gongzi handled his iron staff. Just as you marveled at those two weirdos, a shrill laugh suddenly rang in your ear. It startled you. You turned to look, and saw the small flower on Huadi's face quietly blossom. In just a moment, it turned into a blood-red butterfly. Then Huadi really flew forward like a butterfly, chasing after the two ahead. At this, Shangsu Gongzi came up to you.
He said, not bad, right?
My lightness skill. But you didn't answer him. You charged down with a howl. Let go of that XP bag. Let me take it. Shangsu Gongzi paused, then followed you right away. Shumagan just stood on the hill, not moving. He just watched you all with a smile. Further down the hill, The cries and howls startled the wild tribesmen. But when they turned to look, they only saw a few of you coming down the hill, all grinning wickedly. Just these few aren't enough to fill the wild tribesmen's teeth. So they only sent a few dozen people to handle you and Shangsu Gongzi.
The rest?
Went to deal with their newly acquired loot. But in the next moment, the wild tribesmen could no longer laugh. The short guy and big fool rushed into their ranks like tigers into a flock of sheep, and the wild tribe's squad was instantly thrown into chaos. The little pigeon looked like a beast, and suddenly pounced on a barbarian, opened its huge mouth, and bit down toward the barbarian's neck. In an instant, a fountain of blood spurted out. The little pigeon was drenched all over, but it didn't care at all. Instead, it jumped toward another barbarian. That barbarian was convulsing nonstop.
His life was slowly draining away.
But this pain didn't last long. A massive spiked club ended everything for him. From halfway up the mountain, you saw Big Dummy kill a barbarian, and you started shouting anxiously. But before you could rush down the mountain, Huai Butterfly took action on the other side. It moved just like a real butterfly and confronted two barbarians. The barbarians had savage looks, but Hua Butterfly was smiling happily. Its whip lashed fiercely at the shirtless barbarian, but only left a bloody mark on his body. That kind of wound clearly couldn't kill the barbarian. The barbarians were irritated by the pain. They bared their teeth trying to grab Hua Butterfly, but the next moment they realized their hands were numb. One crimson stripe after another was spreading out from the bloody mark left by the whip. It spread incredibly fast. In just a second, it covered the barbarian's whole body. The next moment, the stripes suddenly burst open. The barbarian instantly turned into a balloon that had been popped, and his world was filled with blood-red color. Then his whole body collapsed limply onto the grass. The surrounding barbarians all turned pale. They'd never seen such a bizarre way to die. They quickly tried to escape Hua Butterfly's whip, but that whip was like a poisonous snake, sinking its fangs into their bodies. A chain reaction began instantly. Everyone around Hua Butterfly collapsed to the ground. They writhed in pain on the ground, but couldn't stop death from coming. At this moment, you finally arrived. You grabbed your broadsword and slashed at the nearest barbarian, but it was all too late. Before your broadsword could hit the barbarian was already dead. You didn't hear the system notification. You were fuming with rage. You let out a loud, strange yell and charged at the other barbarians. While you were coming down the mountain, Big Dummy and Shorty had already killed several people. One would injure, the other would finish them off. Their speed was amazing. Now you understood why Big Dummy always finished first when grabbing buns, and Shorty always came in last. Turns out Shorty just picked up all the kills. You were envious to the extreme, but there was nothing you could do, because the teamwork between Big Dummy and Shorty was just too good. You couldn't even get involved. On the other side, Huai Butterfly's whip was also super fast. If you were hit by his whip, in just a moment, the beast poison would turn you into a puddle of black blood. By the time your broadsword hit, that person was already long dead. You worked your tail off for nothing, and came up empty-handed. You started shouting in frustration. Suddenly, you saw a barbarian in the distance. That barbarian was farther away from Big Dummy and Hua Butterfly's group, so he hadn't been targeted yet. You let out another strange yell, like a thug pouncing on a maiden. No, like a wolf going after a sheep. You rushed straight at the barbarian. That barbarian was a true tough guy.
He wasn't fazed by the strange sights on the battlefield.
In his life, running away was never an option. So he charged straight at you too. You excitedly raised your broadsword and brought it down toward the barbarian's head. You could almost hear the sweet system notification. But the next moment, an accident happened. Out of nowhere, an iron rod came flying, hitting the barbarian right in the head. You watched, stunned, as the barbarian's head exploded like a watermelon, and blood-red fluid sprayed everywhere. You were completely stunned. You followed the direction the rod came from, looking for the culprit. It turned out Weak Kidney Prince was grinning at you. Well, I did say I wouldn't let you fight alone next time. You spat at Weak Kidney Prince, then started cursing, and rushed at another barbarian, leaving Weak Kidney Prince scratching his head on the spot. He had clearly just helped you. So why weren't you grateful? You didn't have time to talk to Weak Kidney Prince now. You were going crazy with frustration. There were obviously tons of experienced packs on this battlefield. So why couldn't you get even one? You couldn't help but curse. This group is downright insane. They didn't leave a single one for you. And seeing the barbarians nearby were about to be wiped out, you ran out of options and looked toward the real main force of the barbarians. Then you let out a howl and charged over. The barbarians had already gathered all their loot and were preparing to retreat. Their target this time was the Empire's military supplies, because the barbarians never carried their own supplies to war, so they could only loot for food and drink. In the northern frontier, the only ones they could rob were the Empire's people. So, every so often they'd raid the area. That way they could get supplies and harass the Empire at the same time. It was killing two birds with one stone. The leader of the barbarian squad was named Bolt. This time he brought dozens of men with him and easily snatched a few carts of supplies. As long as he brought the supplies back, he could report mission complete. But just as they'd driven off the Empire's escort team, a few more people charged down from the mountain. At first, Bolt didn't take them seriously. He only sent a dozen men to stop them, to cover the main force, so they could move the supplies. But right after he sorted out the supplies, he realized almost all his men were dead. Almost none had survived. One of the Empire's men even charged at their main force. Bolt was furious right away. Arrogant Empire dog.
He kicked his warhorse and charged toward you.
Bolt swung his curved blade, intending to kill you in a single blow. While you were anxiously looking for experience packs, you suddenly saw someone charging at you from the barbarian ranks, racing straight toward you. You couldn't be happier. This was an experience pack delivered right to you. There's no way you'd let him get away. Thinking that, you ran even faster, and Bolt's warhorse was getting closer by the second. You raised your broadsword. Bolt raised his curved blade. You grinned wildly. Bolt smiled cold-bloodedly. With a loud clang, the two blades collided. You were ready to see his curved blade shatter. But reality let you down. His curved blade wasn't damaged at all in that strike. Bolt was surprised too. He was wielding a treasured sword gifted by the tribal chief. In the past, I could always break the blades of the Imperial soldiers. But why is it different this time? And both of them had the same thought. The opponent is very strong. His physical abilities are impressive. His blade is powerful too. You become more cautious. Your previous full-strength strikes would shatter an ordinary person's arm almost instantly, but the wildling barely felt anything. Meanwhile, Bolter is also extremely confident in his strength. Not to mention he has the added speed from his warhorse. This blow should have seriously injured the Imperial soldier. But the opponent is still standing where he was. He hasn't even taken a single step back. Why did a flash of confusion sweep across their eyes? If the blade can't be broken, then slash the person. Because humans can't possibly be as tough as a blade. You don't lose momentum with your blade. It directly targets Bolter and swings toward his neck. Bolter also tries to use his remaining strength to knock you to the ground. But when he sees the cold gleam on your blade, he suddenly pulls back. He leans his whole body backward. Though you didn't injure him this time, you've already gained the upper hand in terms of morale. The previously balanced situation quietly starts to shift. But that change is fleeting. When Bolter regains control of his warhorse and faces you again, his momentum returns. You lick your lips. This is a powerful enemy. He's nothing like a regular wildling. If you kill him, you'll definitely earn lots of attribute points. The killing intent in Bolter's eyes peaks as well.
It's been a long time since he faced a top Imperial fighter.
If he can kill the man opposite him, it will definitely deal a blow to the Imperials. The earlier encounter was just the two sides testing each other. Now the real deadly moves begin. Bolter's body is very strong, but that's not his greatest asset. His real trump card is a series of attacking moves. If he misses with one strike, he can rely on his powerful body. To swing his blade again, he calls this move the returning slash. He's killed countless Imperials this way. He's extremely confident in this move. And your greatest asset is not your strength either, but your system. Since your current power only matches his, it's time to increase your points. You have a quick thought. Suddenly, a strong, warm energy surges through your body. System notification. Points successfully added. Host, Su Cheng's physique, 4.9. Remaining attribute points, 0.2. You kept only 0.2 attribute points. Then you put all the points into your constitution. In the next moment, you feel your body swelling up. That power is truly overwhelming. It changed your body in an instant. Then your body returned to normal. Everything seemed like nothing had happened. But you're completely different from before. Earlier, you were only twice as strong as a normal person. Now you're 5 times stronger than average person. And this increase isn't just a simple multiplier. Your overall strength has grown exponentially. This sudden change didn't catch Bolter's attention. He's entirely focused on his finishing move. No one else noticed either. Everyone's busy fighting. They're only glancing at the overall situation out of the corner of their eyes. Only one person frowned the moment you changed. That was Thin Mata, standing on the hilltop. Impossible. Did I see it wrong? While Thin Mata muttered to himself, Bolter charged at you on his warhorse. He gave a wide grin and dashed forward at an even faster speed than before. Bolter's pupils constricted. How is his speed so much faster than before? It's almost comparable to Bolter riding his warhorse. But now Bolter doesn't have time to think. Once the bow is drawn, there's no turning back. He now has to deliver his perfect strike. Bolter smirks coldly. No matter how strong you are, there's no way you can escape my finishing move. Did you dodge? No, you charge straight at Bolter. Your speed reaches its peak. You feel your blood boiling all over your body. You're excited from battle, and even more thrilled by your newfound strength. Is this true power? Let me enjoy it to the fullest. You let out a mighty roar and swing your broadsword straight at Bolter. Bolter shows no fear. He also raises his blade and charges at you. Bolter is already prepared. He expects that the moment the blades collide will be the perfect time for his finishing move. He can already picture the victory in his mind. The curved blade will spin once and stab viciously into your back. That will be the moment the winner is decided. But will things really go as Bolter wishes? As the 2 blades clash, something unexpected happens. Bolter feels intense pain shoot through his hand. The next second, he watches as his huge sword is chopped cleanly in half, and his arm is shaken so hard by the recoil that his nerves rupture. Blood instantly sprays out. Bolter stares at everything before him,
his mind unable to process it.
How is this possible? But it's already too late. His world was left with nothing but your menacing grin. That thought had just appeared in Bolt's mind, when it was forever frozen in time. After your broadsword shattered Bolt's blade, its momentum didn't falter, and it swung directly at Bolt's head. Flesh and blood are no match for a broadsword's steel. Bolt's head was cleanly sliced off.
His warhorse carried his body away,
while his head rolled onto the grass. System prompt: kill tally +1. Reward: attribute point 1.0. You listened to the system notification and licked your lips with satisfaction.
He really was a true little leader of the wild tribe.
The reward points were definitely higher. Then, without even glancing at Bolt's corpse on the ground, you turned and charged at the rest of the wild tribe warriors. Right now, you're brimming with endless strength. All thanks to the system. Never mind the rewards. You had to take advantage of this rush before it faded, and kill more wild tribe warriors. The distant wild tribe warriors heard the commotion, and began to panic. Their squad leader died with his eyes open. No one cared about the supplies anymore. They all scattered and fled in every direction. You got anxious right away. You'd only just killed one, and you're all running already? This is just ridiculous. You pushed off with your feet, the whole of you launching forward. You raised your broadsword high, and as you landed, your strike landed precisely on the back of one of the wild tribe warriors. That man didn't even have time to groan. Before returning to the embrace of eternal heaven. System prompt: reward attribute point 0.5. You laughed out loud with joy. Immediately gave chase to another target. But now all the wild tribe warriors already mounted their horses and had fled in all directions. Even if you could run as fast as a horse, you still wouldn't catch up. Damn, that's just frustrating. As you were cursing, you suddenly noticed a figure hiding by the supply carts. Spotted a straggler you leapt over without hesitation. Raising your sword, you chopped at the person's back. The person seemed to hear the noise behind and in panic, actually fell down. Then he turned around in terror, revealing a wrinkled, aged face. Old man, come face death. You didn't spare him just because he was elderly. Instead, you mustered up all your strength to finish him off quickly. The old tribesman was so terrified. Even the wrinkles on his face seemed to fade. He closed his eyes in pain, waiting for death. At that critical moment, the sound of galloping beasts suddenly rang out in the distance. Spare him. We still need to report back. You quickly held back your blade, but the razor-sharp edge still struck the old tribesman's head. With a scream, he collapsed. You didn't check on his condition, because you didn't hear the system notification. So you were sure he wasn't dead? Big Guy and the others had finished cleaning up, and the remaining wild tribe warriors all gathered toward you. Kid Sue grinned and said, "Didn't expect that, did you? Little Sue, you're really fierce." Big Guy was cleaning chunks of flesh off his morning star, while Shorty busied himself licking his own hand. Butterfly didn't say anything, but his gaze toward you was much softer. You alone stared at the unconscious elder on the ground, with total reluctance and frustration. Just an old man. What could he possibly know? Might as well just kill him, right? Skinny Ma Gan came over. No, he's the wild tribe's priest. We can bring him back to complete our mission. Priest? What's that supposed to mean? Are they the ones used for sacrifices? Kid Sue laughed and shook his head. Priest, you've never heard of that? At least you've heard of shamans, right? You shook your head again. Just then, Skinny Ma Gan spoke up again. All right, enough chit-chat. Let's grab him and rejoin the main group. Big Guy stepped forward and tied the wild tribe priest up thoroughly. He hoisted the priest onto his own shoulder. Shorty rode on the priest. And nobody cared about anything else here. Everyone headed back the way they came. Let's go. You felt a little puzzled inside, but you didn't ask any questions. Not long after, your group spotted the Bald Guy's squad. When Bald Guy saw you return, he instantly rode over to greet you. Skinny Ma Gan remained silent and just cupped his hands toward Bald Guy. Bald Guy nodded slightly and waved to his underlings. Two soldiers walked over to Big Guy, who shifted the sleeping Shorty to his other shoulder before handing the priest to the two soldiers. Bald Guy once again took the lead up front, with Skinny Ma Gan and everyone else following behind him. The two soldiers escorted the wild tribe priest, and the group slowly headed back toward Tiger Mite Camp. They left in the early morning, but returned only as the sun was setting. The rays of the setting sun spread across the grasslands, turning everything to gold, and making it dazzlingly bright. You squinted your eyes, still blinded by Bald Guy's shiny head up ahead. Kid Sue's voice came to your ears. How are you so strong? Did you train in some special technique? Or are you born with natural strength like Big Guy? You look skinny, but I guess you're packed with hidden power. Truly surprising. Kid Sue acted like he couldn't help himself, chatting in your ear the whole way back. At first you replied with a smile or two, but eventually you just pretended not to hear. There was no other way. He asked way too many questions. Answer one, and he'd ask you two more. And his questions were endless, so you were totally annoyed. Finally, when you really couldn't take it anymore, you turned to Butterfly and asked, "Is he always this talkative?" Butterfly shook his head at your question. When Kid Sue's kidneys are a bit better, he talks a lot. You were stunned, not knowing what Butterfly meant. What's gossip have to do with kidneys? You turned and asked Skinny Ma Gan, "Is there such a thing as talkative kidney deficiency in medicine?" Skinny Ma Gan chuckled and shook his head. Depends who he's talking to. You were confused again. How did the topic swing back to me? His chattiness and kidney deficiency, how's that related to me? You pondered all the way, until upon seeing Tiger Mite Camp, it dawned on you. You suddenly sprang up, and quickly escaped from Kid Sue's side. Damn it, if you come near me again, I'll kill you. Kid Sue wasn't the slightest bit angry, and grinned as before. You looked at Kid Sue in disgust, then hid behind Big Guy. Big Guy was still just a kid. Surely Kid Sue wouldn't pick on a kid, right? As you stayed alert for Kid Sue's next move, the group finally entered the Tiger Mite Camp. Inside, things looked just as they had that morning when you left. Except now, several tree stumps once used to tie up the northern barbarians were empty. You turned your head to look, and saw that blood was dripping from the beam above Tiger Mite Camp's main gate. Drop by drop, You curled your lip. It seems like no one here is normal, from top to bottom. The bald guy hasn't said a word the whole way. After entering Tiger Guard camp, he seemed much more relaxed. You still don't know what role he's playing. He tagged along this trip, but didn't do anything at all. Could it be they're just here to keep an eye on Shou Ma Gan and the others? You think that's honestly unnecessary. If they really wanted to leave, could the bald guy and his men actually stop them? The bald guy led everyone to the same tent from this morning. After seeing everyone go inside, he finally let out a sigh of relief. He told his men behind him to disperse. Those Tiger Guard soldiers heard the order and immediately scattered. They ran even faster than rabbits on the grassland. Shou Ma Gan brought everyone into the tent. One by one, they put their weapons on the rack. When Shengsu Gongzi put down the iron staff, his expression was full of reluctance. It honestly disgusted you. You secretly wondered to yourself, what's so special about that iron staff anyway? Is it for dealing with enemies? Or is it for self-torture? Just as you were lost in thought, Goatbeard wobbled in from outside. Everyone in the tent looked at Goatbeard. He plopped himself down behind the desk, slowly asked, "So, how did it go?" "You brought back a shaman priest." "All right, I'll consider that completed." Then Goatbeard reached under the table and pulled out the little booklet you saw this morning. No one knows what Goatbeard wrote on it. This time, he didn't let Shou Ma Gan see it. Just put it directly into the desk. Even the shaman has showed up, so there must be bigger players behind this. That truth-telling powder of yours. Give me a portion. Shou Ma Gan turned around and took out a white bottle from the box. Put it on the table. Goatbeard nodded. He finally lifted his head to look at everyone in the tent. When he saw you, a look of surprise crossed his eyes. He actually came back. Shou Ma Gan just smiled, saying nothing. Goatbeard looked at Shengsu Gongzi. "Are you the one who's been protecting him all this time?" Shengsu Gongzi didn't reply. You raised your eyebrows twice in disbelief. So Goatbeard thinks I'm just some pretty boy. As you were about to say something, Shou Ma Gan spoke up first. "He's good. Next time we'll bring him along again." "Interesting." Goatbeard straightened up and looked at you again. This time, there was a bit of judgment in his eyes. And even more curiosity. "Since that's the case, what do you want?" You pointed at yourself and instinctively answered, "I don't want anything." Goatbeard shook his head. Maybe everyone here wants something. Some want to prove their innocence. Some want freedom. Some want stability. And some want other people's lives. What do you want? You realize Goatbeard is serious. After a moment of silence, you say, "I want to kill." Anything else? Nothing more. Goatbeard looked at you for a long time. Suddenly, he laughed. "I thought you were after Princess Qingfeng." Your face darkened. "Looks like this old man knows all my secrets."
Then,
Goatbeard took out the booklet from under the table again, then opened to a page, looked up and asked, "What name do you want to write?" Without thinking, Little Sue, Goatbeard picked up a pen, wrote the 3 characters for Little Sue on the paper, then said, "Starting now, you need to accumulate 1,000 merit points. When you reach that, you'll gain your freedom." You instinctively asked, "What does that have to do with what you just asked me I wanted?" Goatbeard chuckled. "Nothing at all. I was just curious." You were speechless. You thought all that was going to be something important. Turns out it was just Goatbeard messing with you. At this point, Goatbeard had already put away the booklet. Shou Ma Gan cupped his hands to him, then walked out of the tent. Everyone else followed him out. You gave Goatbeard one last deep look, then walked out of the tent too. Outside, it was completely dark. A soldier led everyone back to the cells. After shutting everyone in, the cell door was closed. Everyone returned to their own spot. Shou Ma Gan also sat down next to you. You chewed on a blade of grass, asking, "What's up with that goatee guy?" "I feel like I could choke him to death with one hand." Shou Ma Gan laughed. "He's just an ordinary old man. Just as ordinary as me." Hearing Shou Ma Gan say that, you only got more interested in Goatbeard. Because you know, Shou Ma Gan himself isn't just any ordinary old man. So Goatbeard probably has stories too. But you didn't ask about Goatbeard again. You still have a lot of questions. So you guys go out on missions just to earn merit points. That's right, what's the point of those? They can help you fulfill your wishes. You think about it. But then you say, I don't really have any wishes. Skinny Stick laughs. You'll have some sooner or later. What's that booklet for then? Just an account book. What does Bald Guy do? You can think of him as our helper. Last question. Do you think Pretty Boy likes men? That's right. And now he's got his eye on you. Seriously?
Take a guess.
At that moment, the cell door opened. A soldier had come to bring food. Dinner was still just buns and wine. Skinny Stick got up and walked to the basket. You grumbled as you stood up too.
It was the big dumb guy again.
Butterfly goes first. Second is Pretty Boy. You're third, right behind him. The short guy is still last. Pretty Boy turned and said with a grin, Come up in front of me. You didn't appreciate it at all. You refused directly. I'm fine in the back. Pretty Boy's expression turns lewd. So you like it in the back? Your jaw drops right there. You never expected this. To actually get hit on in a death row cell. You grit your teeth. Say that again. Pretty Boy laughs. If you don't like it, being in front is fine too. The veins on your forehead are popping. You're about to explode on the spot. At that moment, Skinny Stick calls out, knock it off. If you aren't hungry, he is. He's still growing. You need to eat on time. The short guy whimpers behind you. Seems like he's annoyed with you and Pretty Boy. You let out a deep breath, suppressing your anger. You move to stand behind the short guy. Pretty Boy laughs mischievously, like a kid who's pulled off a prank, then grabs a bun and heads to the corner. The short guy can't wait, and rushes forward. He grabs both your and Skinny Stick's buns from the basket, then dives straight into the basket. You head back to your corner, sulking, bun in hand. Skinny Stick sits next to you with the wine jug. Don't get mad. He's got the nerve but not the guts. Actually, he's trying to be friendly with you. Hearing that, you take a big bite of your bun. So he's like a toad, clinging to your leg but won't actually bite. He's just annoying. If you stay angry, just take care of him later. How should I deal with him? You mean beat him up? The thing he cares about most is his iron rod. The rest you'll have to figure it out. You nibble your bun, lost in thought, wondering how you could use his iron rod against him. But by the time you finish the bun, you still haven't come up with a good idea. You're still furious inside, just wanting something to vent on. So you reach over and snatch Skinny Stick's wine jug. You gulp down several big swigs. Skinny Stick gets upset on the spot.
He snatches the jug right back.
You little rascal, why are you taking your anger out on my wine? Do it again and I'll poison it next time. You wipe your mouth, feeling a little calmer. As for Skinny Stick's threat, you don't really care.
It's all just horsing around.
After eating and drinking, the cell falls silent. You lean against the wall and doze off. Maybe it's the alcohol kicking in, or maybe you're just tired. You sleep soundly, but in the middle of the night, you're suddenly jolted awake. You think it's Pretty Boy about to get nasty, coming to mess with you. But turns out it's the cell door opening. A soldier opens the door, holding a lantern, but he just stands outside and doesn't come in. You stare, puzzled, no idea what kind of situation this is. Then you hear Skinny Stick next to you. Get up, it's time to work. As soon as he's done talking, everyone in the cell starts moving. In no time, everyone's lined up and leaving the cell. Outside, the moon is bright and high. The whole camp is covered in a layer of silvery mist. The prairie night is a bit chilly, but right now your body couldn't care less. The whole camp is dead quiet. Clearly, the soldiers are all asleep, but you and the others got woken up. You're confused, wondering what kind of work they'll have you do this late. Soon you're brought to the main tent from earlier. Everyone silently grabs their weapons. You pick up your broadsword too. Right then, Goatbeard walks in from outside the tent. This time, he doesn't sit at the table. Instead, he hands a roll of parchment to Skinny Stick. Skinny Stick unrolls the parchment. You move in to take a look. It's a map sketched out on the sheepskin. The priest said, they've stashed a bunch of grain up north. Tonight, you're going to torch their supply camp. Goatbeard doesn't waste any time. He spells out tonight's mission right away. Skinny Stick is even more decisive, just nods and heads straight out. Once you step outside the tent, Bald Guy is already waiting with the soldiers. You exchange glances with the other group. No words are needed. The whole team starts heading out of Tiger Battalion. You're a bit confused about why the mission tonight is different from the one during the day. Pretty Boy leans in and asks, do you have any questions? You don't even look at him. No. Buzz off. Pretty boy doesn't get mad. He starts explaining. Night missions don't count as normal assignments and won't get written in the booklet. Tonight you can go all out. No one will ever know about this. You roll your eyes at him. You just lie without even blinking. Doesn't bald guy in front know? Don't the soldiers in the back know? Pretty boy just chuckles. Doesn't matter. Nobody knows. You feel like pretty boy's explanation is useless. You still don't know anything after listening. But you are pretty excited about tonight's mission. After all, pretty boy said, you can give it your all tonight. On the way, while the team is moving, you check your system status. Host, Su Cheng. Constitution, 4.9. Attribute points left, 1.7. Your constitution is now more than 5 times a normal person's. It's nothing to kill a savage now. Even that little leader today was finished with a single blow. So your strength is your greatest advantage now. Of course, it's also thanks to your weapon for being able to handle your strength. If you had a weak weapon, your fighting ability would be cut in half. But who knows how the system will develop later on? Will there be more options in the future? For now, you only have Constitution to work with. So all the attribute points were added. But for now, you're already pretty satisfied. Just keep killing wild tribe members to get stronger. As for everything else, let's talk about it later. The main force kept moving forward. No one knew how much time had passed. Suddenly, dark clouds gathered in the sky. Visibility around you dropped drastically. At this moment, the bald guy stopped. Then the bald guy dismounted. He still didn't say a word. He just cupped his hands at Skinny Horse. Skinny Horse cupped his hands back. Then he led everyone onward. The bald guy and the soldiers quickly disappeared into the darkness behind you. Only then did you dare to speak loudly. Where are we going to find the wild tribe's supply camp? It's pitch black all around here. You can't see anything. Skinny Horse pointed at little guy and said to just follow him. You looked down at little guy leading the way ahead. A bit surprised, you thought this kid activated X-ray vision. Or maybe he turned on map hacks. Kidney Weak joined. At your side, that kid is really something. He's got better senses than wolves on the prairie. He knows what's happening within several miles. You nodded and said nothing more. The group kept moving quietly. After walking several more miles, little guy suddenly stopped. He pointed ahead and let out a low growl. Skinny Horse immediately told everyone to get ready for action. You asked seriously, what's the plan? Skinny Horse answered very earnestly. We improvise. You were instantly speechless. We're about to attack the wild tribe's supply camp. And Skinny Horse's plan is a complete joke. But the others didn't object. Everyone already had their weapons ready. Looks like they've done this plenty of times before. Then Kidney Weak came over. Little Sue, let's team up this time. I'll make sure you're well protected. You wanted to refuse. But seeing little guy had already climbed onto Big Brother's shoulder, changed your mind. Big Brother plus little guy is an invincible combo. They're basically a people harvesting machine. No matter how hard you try, you can't match those two. So teaming up with Kidney Weak isn't a bad idea. Alright, I'll kill. You set the place on fire and beat them half to death. Then I'll land the final blow. What do you think? Kidney Weak saw you agree, and immediately nodded. Deal, that's the plan. Tonight I won't kill anyone. I'll leave them all for you. You nodded in satisfaction. I thought up a name for our team. Let's call it Murder and Arson. What do you think? Before Kidney Weak could respond, Butterfly Girl suddenly burst out laughing. Why not call it Husband Leads, Wife Follows? Kidney Weak clapped and cheered after hearing it. You were about to lose it. If Skinny Horse hadn't spoken just then, you'd definitely have it out with Butterfly Girl. Stop arguing, we're here. You had to let it go. Looking up, a military camp appeared in the distant night. It looked like a giant beast, quietly opening its bloody mouth wide, waiting for any uninvited guests. Butterfly Girl slipped into the darkness. You could only watch them leave with longing. Then, unwilling, you picked up the box and followed Skinny Horse ahead. Kidney Weak noticed what you were thinking and joked, don't worry. There are plenty of wild tribe people in the camp, and you'll get your fill of killing soon enough. You sighed, hoping things turn out just as Kidney Weak said. Although you're jealous of the others' quests, right now you need to focus on the bigger picture. Since Skinny Horse said there are strong opponents inside, Everything needs to be handled carefully. You can't just act on impulse anymore. The three of you head toward the wild tribe's supply camp. Skinny Horse moved slowly. When the group was halfway there, the camp was already ablaze. You licked your lips, your eyes full of envy. Looks like Butterfly Girl succeeded. Big Brother and Little Guy must be having a blast killing right now. But the wild tribe responded quickly. Trumpet sounds rang out throughout the camp. The wild tribe acted fast and immediately started driving out the enemies and putting out the fire. Inside the wild tribe's central camp, a shirtless wild tribe warrior was listening to his subordinate's report. Commander, unidentified enemies have broken into the camp. The wild tribe man in the command tent was called Yujita.
He was the commander in charge here.
Bold move. Dare to burn my supplies. Wipe them out with full force. Yes. After the subordinate answered, he left the command tent. Yujita picked up a crescent blade with a gloomy face and went outside. The camp was ablaze, with wild tribe members shouting everywhere. Some were busy putting out the fire, others chasing down enemies. But the enemy moved so fast. They could only run themselves ragged and couldn't even touch a hair of the enemy. Yujita's face bulged with veins. He had already made a military pledge to the Khan. He would definitely protect the safety of the supplies. But now everything is about to be destroyed. Wujita looked around for any sign of the enemy, but it was just too chaotic all around. He couldn't see any enemies at all. At this time, the little guy was dashing around the camp, full of energy. Every time, the barbarian tribe barely managed to gather some strength. The little guy would dash in and wildly cause havoc. The barbarian tribe's formation would instantly collapse. Before the barbarian tribe could regroup, a figure as huge as a small mountain burst out from the flames.
He raised his spiked club high
And swept it fiercely at the group ahead. Barbarian tribe members died or were injured in droves in an instant. The remaining barbarian warriors were scared out of their wits. They desperately tried to escape from those two enemies who seemed like monsters. But just as they reached a safe area, a shadow, as stealthy as a night phantom, silently appeared. The whip in his hand gleamed with a red glow, turning one barbarian after another into a pool of bloody mess on the ground. Even though the barbarian tribe had large numbers, facing these three people, they stood no chance at all. All they could do was watch helplessly as the food supplies they'd fought so hard to steal were burned to ashes. At this moment, the little guy, still in the midst of his rampage, charged right up to Wujita. He flashed a toothy grin at Wujita, then turned and sprinted toward the camp gate. Wujita roared at the top of his lungs right then and there, waving his crescent blade and storming after him. Little thief, don't run. Take this from my blade. But the little guy had no intention of stopping. He turned and made a funny face at Wujita, then quickly climbed onto Big Brother Fool's shoulder. Big Brother Fool didn't stop either. They stuck to Thin Pole's plan, just causing chaos, never taking tough fights. So as soon as they saw Wujita, they had no desire to battle, and quickly disappeared into the blazing light. Wujita finally managed to catch up, but at the entrance of the camp, there was no sign of Big Brother Fool or the little guy at all. Frustrated, he let out a howl to the sky. Suddenly, a cold snort interrupted Wujita's wolf-like howl. You and Weak Kid finally reached the entrance of the camp. Thin Pole was standing not far behind you both, showing no intention of joining the fight. And you, now furious, finally saw a barbarian tribe member. Of course, you weren't going to let him get away. Wujita's howl was cut off, and he felt annoyed. Pointing his crescent blade at you, Wujita demanded, "Who are you?" You rested your broadsword on your shoulder and spat a glob of saliva. Your dad, Wujita, was so angry his face turned dark. He raised his huge sword and charged at you. Little thief, prepare to die. You grinned smugly and shouted, "Good," before charging straight at Wujita. Your speed was extremely fast, your momentum unstoppable even in the dark. But Wujita was no slouch either. Despite his burly frame, he was surprisingly explosive when he moved. With a loud clang, a resounding crash echoed in the supply camp. Your broadsword and Wujita's crescent blade smashed into each other with force. In that instant, you felt a tremendous force through your hands. Your pupils shrank sharply, and you were stunned by the opponent's power. Wujita's palms were also rattled by the shock. He was slightly taken aback. This opponent is really strong. Both took a step back, finally dispelling the pressure in their arms. The two of you stared at each other, eyes growing serious. You were very surprised. Your body now had strength 5 times that of a normal person. Regular barbarian tribe members are just as easy as chopping vegetables. But this barbarian could take you head on. What surprised you most was, you used to cut right through barbarian tribe scimitars with a single blow. But this guy's weapon didn't break at all. He really does have some skills. No wonder he's considered a master by Thin Pole. You suddenly got excited. How many attribute points could this be worth? Damn. Wujita was also in awe looking at you. You looked average in size, but possessed incredible strength. You should know, Wujita was very confident in his own power. But now the thing he was most proud of was being challenged by this imperial opponent. Wujita got even more fired up inside. An enemy like this made him feel way more excited. He wanted to take your head home as a trophy. Just as you and Wujita locked eyes, a golden gleam flashed in both your eyes. Wujita stomped forward, rushing straight at you. Good, you shouted and charged right back at him. This time, you used all your strength. You were determined to slice this barbarian right in half. But just as you two were about to collide again, a figure suddenly darted out from your side. That figure copied your voice, intentionally lowering it to make it sound rough and deep, ending with a weird duck-like squawk. Take this from my club. Weak Kid rushed toward Wujita to strike first. With his iron club in hand, he smashed it hard toward Wujita's head. Wujita had been focused completely on you. But who'd expect? A pale-faced boy would suddenly rush over from your side. With no choice, Wujita quickly swung his crescent blade around, blocking that boy's incoming iron club. The iron club and crescent blade collided, without making a sound. Not even a spark appeared. Damn! Only a strange shriek was heard. As Weak Kid jumped back several steps, clutching his club, he rubbed his hands hard. His face flushed as he cursed. Damn, this guy is ridiculously strong. You rolled your eyes. Scoffing, you said. Could you stop messing things up? If you're so weak, just work on getting stronger. Why embarrass yourself here? Weak Kid's face turned even redder. He clearly saw you take an attack from Wujita, and only take a few steps back. But when it happened to him, his hands nearly went numb. His iron club was still quivering and humming. Before Weak Kid could argue back, you dashed up again. Wujita was already shocked by your power. When he saw Weak Kid,
His heart sank.
if both these foes are this strong, he's really in for a tough fight. But surprisingly, Weak Kid didn't actually cause him any harm. Wujita felt a bit of relief, and didn't spare Weak Kid another glance. He focused all his attention on you as you attacked. Weak Kid, getting looked down on by both you and Wujita, got so mad he nearly exploded. But when he saw the two of you clash, and sparks fly everywhere, he quietly retreated closer to Thin Pole. Seeing this, Thin Pole chuckled and said, Relax. Raw strength isn't your specialty anyway. Weak Kid looked depressed.
I know.
But those two guys are just monsters. Thin Pole laughed. I'm surprised too, honestly. This kid is improving way too fast. Weak Kid muttered quietly, but said nothing more, turning back to watch the battle. While Weak Kid and Thin Pole were talking, you and Wujita had already exchanged several blows. But except for a whole lot of sparks flying, neither of you had made any progress. Wujita seems to be getting more and more excited as the fight goes on. The smile on his face keeps growing. Finally, after another fierce clash with you, he can't help but burst out laughing. That was awesome. It's been so long since I felt this good. You, on the other hand, are starting to get annoyed. You and this member of the desolate tribe are evenly matched. Neither of you can get the upper hand. That's not going to work. If this drags on any longer, everyone back at camp will be killed by the other three. Then your XP loot will be gone for good. Suddenly you get an idea. You look at your remaining stat points. If you can't beat him as you are, then boost your stats. I'm a cheater after all. Who am I supposed to be afraid of? But just as you're about to act, Wujita pulls a small bottle from his pocket. If I'd met you under normal circumstances, I would have enjoyed duking it out with you. But not right now. After Wuji Tower finishes speaking, he opens the bottle. He tilts his head back and swallows whatever's inside. Then he mutters something under his breath. Immediately, his body starts to change. You see Wuji Tower's muscles suddenly swell up. Then they quickly shrink back to normal. His already dark skin becomes even darker. His eyes turn even sharper. Veins bulge across his forehead. His rugged face takes on a savage look in an instant. You're a bit puzzled watching this. What's going on here? Why does this look so evil? Right then, you hear Shumagen's voice behind you. Be careful, he just took the holy medicine from the priest. He's way stronger now. Damn, you can't help but curse. You thought your stat boosting was already up enough. Didn't expect someone else to be even more shameless. He even dared to use drugs when he's losing the fight. Oh, great gods. Thank you for the power you've given me. In return, I'm going to offer my enemy's blood to you. A look of devotion appears on Wuji Tower's face. Finally, he goes completely berserk. He wields his crescent blade with a wild, ferocious energy. Now it seems like Wuji Tower has endless strength. From a distance, Shangsu Lord looks seriously worried. He already experienced Wuji Tower's strength just now. Even though he wasn't injured.
He knows full well he's not a match for Wuji Tower.
And now that Wuji Tower has taken the holy medicine from the priest,
He's even stronger.
can you still hold your ground against him? Shumagen seems to have picked up on Shangsu Lord's concern. He smiles and says, don't worry. Let's just wait and see. That kid seems to only get stronger with each fight. Shangsu Lord nods. He watches the battle nervously. At this point, all he can do is worry. There's nothing else he can do. Wuji Tower has completed his mysterious ritual. Now, he only has eyes for you. This is the offering.
He promised to give to his god.
He's determined to kill you. Wuji Tower lets out a roar, charging at you like a mad bull. And you're not standing idle, either. Without hesitation, you dump all your stat points into Constitution. Shumagen already warned you earlier, so now you can't afford to hold back. System prompt. Stat increase successful. Remaining stat points. Oh. A tremendous surge of power floods through you. It feels like roaring waves, filling every part of your body. You can't help but cry out in satisfaction. This feeling is absolutely addicting. Come on, you shout. And you charge straight at Wuji Tower. Both of you are at the peak of your strength. This clash is bound to be extraordinary. With a deafening clang, Shangsu Lord nervously watches the fight. After the collision, you're still standing strong. Wuji Tower, standing in front of you, looks stunned. Because with that last strike, you knocked his crescent blade right out of his hands. The webbing between Wuji Tower's thumb and forefinger has split open.
His fingers are twisted outward at impossible angles.
Looking at him now, it seems he'll never be able to grip a blade again. Or maybe he'll never get another chance to. But Wuji Tower doesn't care about any of that. He just stares blankly at your blade, as if he's struggling with something he can't figure out. Why? That was Wuji Tower's last question. Because in the very next moment, you've already swung your blade at Wuji Tower. Go ask your god. A cold flash of steel slices through the air, and a Wuji Tower never has to ponder that question again. His thoughts fade into darkness. You didn't even look at Wujita's corpse, and walked straight ahead. You bent down and picked up Wujita's crescent blade. You examined the crescent blade closely. A look of admiration appeared in your eyes. This really is a fine blade. After taking my full-powered strike, it wasn't even damaged at all. It's truly a real treasure. You happily strapped the crescent blade onto your back. But there was something that made you even happier. Suddenly, you heard a system notification in your mind. System prompt. Kill count +1. Reward earned. 1 attribute point. Now you're really thrilled. These barbarians are basically free attribute points. Even more than what the last barbarian gave. At this thought, you suddenly remembered something. You looked toward the barbarian camp ahead. Your face instantly changed. And the next moment, you darted out. You ran while shouting, "Damn it! Don't kill them all. Save me some." On the hill outside the camp, Shangsu Gongzi's jaw dropped in shock. After a long moment, he finally uttered, "Monster." Skinny Stick just laughed. "See? I told you I was right." Shangsu Gongzi gripped his iron staff tightly. He honestly couldn't even describe how he felt. Other than stunned, he was mostly speechless. The barbarian commander was so powerful. But you killed him in just 2 strikes. Don't just stand there. Let's go help out. But Shangsu Gongzi just scoffed. "I'm not going. There's nothing left for me to do over there. Those guys will handle everything. Then tonight, when we get buns, you'll be the last in line. Doesn't matter anymore. Just seeing all this was worth it. Shangsu Gongzi and Beast Horse were still standing on the hill outside the camp, looking out at the world before them, now just a sea of fire, one of them expressionless, the other giggling non-stop. Who knows what they were thinking? The camp truly had become a sea of flames. The barbarian supply camp was completely destroyed. The blazing fire lit up the entire night sky. At this moment, you're still searching the camp desperately. Everywhere you look, besides the fire, are only corpses. Most of the barbarian soldiers had already fled. Anyone too scared to run was wiped out by the three of them. You wandered around for ages and found nothing. When you finally returned out of the camp, frustrated, you saw everyone waiting for you. The short guy was now covered head to toe in snow. The big brute was fine, except his spiked club now looked like a skewer. There was so much meat stuck on it, he'd be busy for a long time. Butterfly was still the same as always, but his clothes were a bit singed. Probably got smoked when setting the fire just now. Zheng Su Gongzi enthusiastically approached. Why'd you take so long? We were all waiting for you. You looked helplessly at this bunch of maniacs. Let's go. The group started heading back the way they came. Skinny Stick looked pretty relaxed, clearly very pleased with tonight's result. The big brute, on the other hand, looked troubled. All that meat on his spike club was a total mess now. No matter how much he picked at it, it just wouldn't come off. Shorty was busy gnawing on his nails. If he didn't do that, the blood would all dry up. Butterfly walked behind you, watching as Shangsu Gongzi tried to flatter you. Hey, let me carry one of your blades. Isn't it heavy carrying two yourself? You're amazing, you know that? You took down that barbarian in just 2 strikes. You're way stronger than I thought. I never realized you were so tough before. You were fuming in silence and listening to Shangsu Gongzi talk, which only made you more annoyed. So you said coldly, "Shut up." What, your ancestors were mural painters at a temple or something? Shangsu Gongzi was startled. What do you mean by that? Butterfly burst into laughter. He means you have a lot of wall paintings. I don't have any murals. I really don't have any mural paintings. You decided to just shut up.
This guy's skin is ridiculously thick.
No matter what you say, you can never get through to him. You'd be better off saving your energy. The group kept on traveling. Finally, as dawn approached, you saw Baldy Guang in the distance. And when Baldy Guang saw everyone returning, he clearly let out a sigh of relief. He gave Skinny Stick a polite gesture, then mounted his horse, with a wave to his troops behind him. The soldiers who'd waited all night could finally head back. Everyone looked pretty relaxed, and the march sped up a bit. When the sun was fully up, you spotted the Huwei camp in the distance. By now the camp was lively again. You could hear the soldiers drilling from far away. For some reason, hearing those sounds suddenly brought you a sense of calm. Finally, a night of toil was over. This time, Baldy Guang didn't bring everyone to Old Goatee's tent after collecting their weapons. He sent them straight to the prison. Everyone went back to their spots to rest. You plopped down onto the straw. Shangsu Gongzi was probably exhausted and finally stopped bothering you. But then Skinny Stick started talking again. You always surprise me, kid. You grinned and replied, just lucky, that's all. I've still got some judgment left, you know. Whether it's luck or real skill, I can tell the difference. You felt a bit uneasy. This old man was sharp as a fox. What exactly had he figured out? You've been practicing some kind of technique, right? Every time you go out, you get stronger. That practice must be special. You decided to say nothing at all. Just let Skinny Stick guess for himself. If he could ever guess you had a system, that would be crazy. When Skinny Stick saw you not answering, he didn't ask anymore. Everyone here has their own secrets. He's no exception. If people don't want to talk, just leave it at that. As everyone was getting quiet, almost falling asleep, the cell door opened. A soldier pushed a cart inside. Right away, you smelled something delicious. Your stomach grumbled hungrily. The cart was piled high with all kinds of meat. Under the cart, there was clean water. And of course, 2 big barrels of wine. After pushing the cart in, the soldier left. And everyone looked at Skinny Stick. Skinny Stick just chuckled. What are you staring for?
Eat.
Shorty and Big Guy rushed up with a howl. Shangsu Gongzi wasn't about to lose out either. He must have been really starving. He actually grabbed the meat with his whole hand, not even using his fancy fingers. Butterfly stepped out of the darkness too. He looked at the other three with obvious disdain, watching their wild eating. He grabbed a piece of meat from the cart, poured a pot of clean water, then headed back into the darkness. Skinny Stick grinned at you. Let's go. Have something to eat. You nodded. You and Skinny Ma again walked toward the cart. Young Master Shangsu eagerly picked up a piece of pork belly. He handed it to you to eat. This one smells amazing. You rolled your eyes at him. You didn't take the pork belly. Instead, you grabbed a piece of shank and started chewing. Young Master Shangsu didn't mind your coldness. He picked up a jug of wine and handed it to you. This time it really wasn't because you disliked young Master Shangsu. It's just that the wine was too murky. You really couldn't drink it. So you picked up a jug of clear water and drank it down in big gulps. Skinny Ma Gan took young Master Shangsu's jug.
He chuckled
And said, "Tonight I'm going to drink to my heart's content." Everyone gathered around the cart, eating and drinking. The scene became lively for a while. You ate until oil was all over your mouth. The meat was simply boiled, and then sprinkled with a layer of salt. But you found it delicious. As for Big Guy and Shorty, they weren't even really eating. They just shoved the meat in their mouths and swallowed it without even chewing. Skinny Ma Gan smiled as he ate and drank. Don't be fooled by his age. His teeth are still very strong. Young Master Shangsu ate quickly. He was full in no time. Maybe it's true that a full belly brings other desires. He picked up a jug of wine and started talking to you again, little Sue. You're so amazing. How about you protect me next time? You glanced at him. I don't protect men who play with sticks. If it were a woman, maybe I'd consider it. Young Master Shangsu chuckled. Then just think of me as a woman. You glanced at him again. I don't like playing with shit. From deep in the cell, Madame Butterfly's annoyed voice came. I'm trying to eat here. Can you stop talking about such disgusting topics? Young Master Shangsu didn't care at all. He burst out laughing. That's interesting. Really interesting. Little Sue, you really are a character. That playing with shit metaphor was really vivid. Madame Butterfly finally lost her patience. She threw a bone from the darkness. The bone pierced through young Master Shangsu's jug and stuck deep into the cart's wood. Young Master Shangsu's laughter stopped instantly. The jug in his hand shattered all over the ground. Murky wine dripped through his fingers. Then young Master Shangsu complained, "Damn. Woman, are you crazy? If you want to kill me, fine. But why waste the wine?" Heartbroken, young Master Shangsu licked his own fingers, trying to suck the remaining wine clean. Skinny Ma Gan chuckled. I also think we shouldn't waste wine. Next time you can stick the bone in his mouth. A cold snort came from the darkness Madame Butterfly. Next time, it won't be his mouth I stick it in. Young Master Shangsu quickly covered his butt in fear and shouted, "Don't mess around." I'll stop, all right? You were amused by young Master Shangsu's clownish behavior. Skinny Ma Gan laughed along with you. Big Guy didn't even know what everyone was laughing at, but joined in laughing anyway. Only Shorty didn't care, just stuffed another piece of meat into his mouth. The cell was full of laughter and joking. But then the cell door suddenly opened. Everyone looked toward the entrance. This time, it wasn't guards who came in. Instead, several prisoners in prison uniforms entered first. The first one was a bare-chested man. His muscles were bulging. His chest and back were covered in tattoos. One look and you could tell he wasn't easy to deal with. After Tattooed Man entered, he scanned the cell. His eyes finally landed on the meat on the cart. You were stunned for a moment. You didn't expect there'd be gangsters in this world too. But who knows if he's really tough? The second to enter was a woman. Her chest was bulging, almost bursting out of her uniform. Although her chest was impressive, her waist was willow thin. She looked completely unbalanced. Busty Girl pressed close to Tattooed Man. Tattooed Man's arms were buried in her bosom. She seemed very timid, not daring to look at anyone in the cell. You stared in shock. You didn't expect there'd be such an all-natural dairy cow in this world. Really eye-opening. The third to enter was a man as Skinny Magan. He was cross-eyed, just like a fighting cock. A really funny sight. As soon as cross-eyed Guy entered, his eyes darted around. As if in a short moment, he had figured out the pecking order in the place. He finally set his eyes on Skinny Ma again. For some reason,
Your first impression of cross-eyed guy was really bad.
it felt like when he looked at people, he was secretly plotting something. When everyone was inside, the soldier closed the cell door. Everyone in the cell stared at them. But Tattooed Man was very rude.
He plopped himself down next to Big Guy.
Picked up a piece of meat and gave it to Busty Girl, then grabbed a piece of fatty meat for himself. Big Guy was simple-minded
He was already full.
and didn't mind Tattooed Man's actions at all. He even made room for Busty Girl. Busty Girl sat quietly behind Tattooed Man, head down, eating meat in small bites, looking very refined. You marveled at Busty Girl's extraordinary assets, while Skinny Megan kept chuckling. Then, Cross-Eyed Guy broke the silence. He walked right up to Skinny Ma Gan and cupped his hands. Greetings, heroes. I'm new here. Please take care of me. Sho Ma Gan chuckled softly.
He said no need for formalities.
You must be hungry, eat while it's hot. You guys are lucky today. You showed up and there's meat to eat. Cross-Eyed respectfully nodded to Sho Ma Gan. Then he picked up a piece of meat and started chewing. Looks like he really was hungry. At this moment, you couldn't help but give Cross-Eyed a second look. This guy is kind of interesting. Even hungry, he didn't forget his manners. In that aspect, he's completely different from Tattoo Guy. Everyone watched them eat and drink. Tattoo Guy has a huge appetite.
He nearly ate all the leftover meat.
Meanwhile, Big Chest Girl and Cross-Eyed ate only a small amount. Seeing everyone was full, Sho Ma Gan smiled. He cheerfully said, "Better rest early." Everyone stood up afterward, returned to their usual spots to sit. Tattoo Guy found a corner and sat down. Big Chest Girl clung to Tattoo Guy as if she was attached. She sat right next to him, sticking close, while Cross-Eyed sat next to Sho Ma Gan. Sho Ma Gan chuckled again.
He didn't mind.
Before these three arrived, the atmosphere in the cell was very harmonious. But now it's quite quiet. Tattoo Guy was like a mute.
He never said a single word since coming into the cell.
In contrast, Cross-Eyed kept talking to Sho Ma Gan. But he ignored you. You enjoyed some peace and quiet. Didn't pay attention to Cross-Eyed. Everyone seemed tired. None of you slept at all last night. Now it's time to rest. Tattoo Guy and his crew just settled in and had a big meal. Now they're resting with their eyes closed too. Cross-Eyed was very considerate, seeing everyone getting ready to rest. He stopped talking as well. The cell became quiet. You quickly drifted off to sleep. But while you were dreaming, suddenly you heard heavy breathing by your ear. You hadn't fully woken up then. Your mind was fuzzy, so you didn't think much of it. But you vaguely heard the sound of a woman crying. Frowning, you got up and followed the sound. You saw Tattoo Guy in a corner, panting heavily, gasping for air. You shook your head.
Tattoo Guy is wild for sure.
He's not shy about doing this in front of everyone. You turned over, lay down to keep sleeping. But just as you lay down, you saw Cross-Eyed sweating profusely, eyes shut, body trembling. He seemed extremely nervous. You were a bit puzzled. No idea what was wrong with him. But you didn't care. So you closed your eyes and went back to sleep. The whole day passed amidst those suggestive sounds. Until nightfall, Tattoo Guy finally stopped. You sat up, eyes glazed. You didn't get any restful sleep all day. Felt like you had a bunch of nightmares. Now your head is full of voices of men and women. You looked resentfully at Tattoo Guy. Right then, you were shocked. Tattoo Guy looked like he lost a ton of weight. His cheeks were pale, black circles under his eyes. You let out a sigh, secretly thinking young people have no self-control. You glanced at Big Chest Girl again. Tattoo Guy was like that. So how was Big Chest Girl after all that? You saw her still holding Tattoo Guy's arm, but her face was healthy and flushed. She looked great. Even her chest seemed a bit bigger. You sighed again. The old saying is true. Only the ox gets tired. The field never wears out. You had no interest in Tattoo Guy and Big Chest Girl's drama. You sat up and looked at Cross-Eyed beside Sho Ma Gan. Cross-Eyed looked perfectly normal. No sign of illness at all. You were puzzled. Maybe you got it wrong earlier. You looked at the others. Shorty was helping Big Dummy lick his nails. Sho Ma Gan was still resting with his eyes closed. Kidney Weak Lord was staring at you. You didn't bother being polite with him. You shot him a dirty look. Just then, the cell door opened. A soldier came in carrying a big basket. Inside were steamed buns. No wine today. Everyone saw dinner had arrived. So they got up and headed for the door. Tattoo guy and big chest girl were first in line. Big dummy and shorty were next. Kidney weak lord wobbled toward you. Cross-eyed followed Sho Ma Gan. Flower butterfly also came out from the darkness deep in the cell. Tattoo guy didn't wait for everyone to line up. He just reached straight into the basket. But someone stopped him. You looked at that person. Then you looked around. And instantly your eyes widened. Damn, when did Sho Ma Gan get there so fast? Does Sho Ma Gan teleport? Right then, Sho Ma Gan smiled and spoke. There are rules in this cell. When eating, everyone lines up based on how many kills they got from jobs. Tattoo guy's face fell.
He said his first words since arriving.
I don't care about your rules. I have my own rules. You raised an eyebrow. Didn't expect Tattoo guy to be so hot-headed. This should be interesting. You decided to take this opportunity to see what Sho Ma Gan's skills are like. But Sho Ma Gan said nothing more. Just kept smiling at Tattoo guy. Tattoo guy saw Sho Ma Gan wouldn't reply or move, and immediately got aggressive. But then big chest girl next to him shifted a bit. Tattoo guy turned to look at her, snorted and moved to the back of the line. You clicked your tongue in amazement. Tattoo guy's a big tough guy. But he listens to a woman? Well, you didn't think much of it. These people are pretty interesting. Worth watching a bit more. As usual, big dummy took the first buns. Flower butterfly got the second batch. You were third in line. Shorty was fourth. Kidney weak lord was behind Shorty. Tattoo guy and big chest girl together. Cross-eyed was last. Big dummy took 10 buns. Flower butterfly took 2. You grabbed 5. When it was Shorty's turn, he took 3 buns from the basket. Then dove headfirst into the basket. Kidney weak lord took 1 bun. Then handed 2 buns to Sho Ma Gan. Now there were no buns left. Tattoo guy was instantly furious. You trying to play me? Sho Ma Gan chuckled. These are the rules. If you want to eat, kill more people next time. Tattoo guy felt cheated. What kind of stupid rules are these? Give me your bun, he said, reaching to snag Sho Ma Gan's bun. But just as his hand reached halfway, something strange happened. Tattoo guy's hand turned black halfway. Only half turned black. All parts of his hand within 1 meter of Sho Ma Gan were black. Tattoo guy's face changed immediately. His hand went numb. He was so scared he pulled it back right away. Then his hand instantly returned to normal. What did you do to me? Sho Ma Gan just smiled without saying anything. At this moment, you're eating your bun and exclaiming how exciting it is. You didn't understand Sho Ma Gan's move, but you were greatly shocked. Sho Ma Gan really deserves to be the leader in the cell. You thought. He relied on those bottles and jars in the box to poison people. But now Sho Ma Gan doesn't have a single bottle on him. Yet he can still poison the tattooed man. And the most amazing thing is, the poison only works within 1 meter in front of Sho Ma Gan. But it doesn't affect him at all. Now the tattooed man doesn't dare to make a move against Sho Ma Gan. But he doesn't want to swallow his pride. So he turns and grabs at your bun. Your face turned dark at that moment, daring to snatch my bun. It's like trying to take my life. You can't tolerate this. Without thinking, you slapped the tattooed man's hand away. You didn't use your full strength in that slap. If you had used your full strength, the tattooed man's hand would have been crushed. But the tattooed man seems unaware that you just spared his life. He still tries to grab your bun. At this moment, Shen Su Gongzi blocks in front of you. Don't push your luck. Wanna eat the bun, huh? Meet one condition for me, then the bun is yours. The tattooed man looks at Shen Su Gongzi's dark circles and asks, what condition? Shen Su Gongzi laughs slyly. Let me have fun with the chick behind you for a day. How about that? A golden light flashes in the tattooed man's eyes. You thought he was about to flip out. But unexpectedly, the tattooed man grinned. Fine, she's yours. After saying this, the tattooed man pushes the busty girl next to him. Her ample chest immediately starts bouncing. Shen Su Gongzi doesn't look at the busty girl, but keeps staring at the tattooed man, until the tattooed man gets impatient under the gaze. Are you gonna take it or not? Shen Su Gongzi just laughs and says, nah. I was just messing with you. Go ahead, enjoy the bun. Shen Su Gongzi says this and throws the bun to the tattooed man. The tattooed man doesn't hesitate and stuffs the bun in his mouth. Meanwhile, the busty girl goes back to the tattooed man's side and sticks to him tightly. You're puzzled watching this. Doesn't Shen Su Gongzi prefer ones with a handle? Why does he want the busty girl instead, rather than spending the night with the tattooed man? And what's even more surprising, the tattooed man actually agreed to Shen Su Gongzi's request just like that, as if the condition didn't matter at all. Just as you're confused, the tattooed man suddenly nods at you and says, "Kid, if you give me a bun, I'll let this chick accompany you for a night. How about it?" You pause, then laugh. You don't respond to the tattooed man. Instead, you stuff all the buns in your mouth, then turn around and leave. Immediately behind you comes the dissatisfied voice of the tattooed man. But the dinnertime farce finally ended. After this meal, the busty girl and the cross-eyed guy didn't eat anything. The busty girl kept holding the tattooed man's arm. It's hard to tell what expression she had, but the cross-eyed guy didn't care at all, and he sat next to Shoma Gan chatting with him. Moreover, he didn't seem afraid of the poison on Shoma Gan at all. You were safe and sound, but in the middle of the night, you were woken up again. The lanterns in the cell were already out. In the darkness came the sound of the busty girl crying and the tattooed man's grunting noises. You turned over, didn't bother with this mess. The next day you opened your eyes, instinctively looking at the tattooed man. But seeing is believing. You were shocked. Just overnight, the tattooed man had lost a lot of weight. There were wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. His eyeballs wrapped in dark circles looked completely lifeless. Meanwhile, the busty girl beside him was even more radiant. Her skin looked flawless, especially her assets had surpassed normal human limits. You furrowed your brows. Everything in front of you seemed very suspicious. A thought flashed through your mind, but you couldn't catch it. Just as you were puzzled, the cell door opened. This time the soldier wasn't here to deliver food. He stood at the door but didn't come in. You knew it was another mission. Sure enough, Shoma Gan shouted loudly. Everybody, get up and get to work. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. The tattooed man behind you suddenly grunted, then spat a mouthful of black blood onto the ground. You got startled, not sure what's up with tattooed guy. But after tattooed guy spat out that mouthful of blood, his pale face suddenly became flushed. No one else really paid attention to tattooed guy's odd state. They all followed Skinny Horse and continued walking. But out of the corner of your eye, you saw that when tattooed guy spit blood, the cross-eyed guy in the corner suddenly shuddered. Soon everyone entered the tent and began choosing weapons. Only Cross-Eye and tattooed guy's busty sister stood there stunned, not knowing what to do. Just then, Goatee walked in. He plopped down behind the table and pulled out a small booklet. The last priest is dead, but before dying he did say something useful. Goatee paused for a moment, then continued. The grain camp you attacked last time was just the tip of the iceberg. Most of the supplies have already been shipped north. Skinny Horse lifted his eyelids slightly. So you guys will need to travel north. Payment is 2 merits. Skinny Horse snorted coldly. No way. There were experts in that last supply camp, and we suffered heavy losses. The north is the main base of the wild tribe, where experts are everywhere. If we go, it's basically suicide. Goatee replied calmly. So you mean you'll need more pay? Theft? You couldn't help but laugh out loud. But nobody cared about your laughter. Goatee thought for a moment, nodded and said, let's stick to the usual rules. Any objections? Skinny Horse chuckled. Sounds good. You curiously ask Kidney Weak Young Master, what do the usual rules mean? Kidney Weak Young Master laughed. It means something fun, of course. This time it's going to be real exciting. You scratched your head. Kidney Weak Young Master is picking up some bad habits. He's even starting to be cryptic. But you didn't think much of it. You'll find out when the time comes. No need to worry now. Goatee nodded. After that, Skinny Horse led everyone out of the tent. A lot of soldiers were standing outside. These soldiers were really different from last time with Baldy. Every one of them was wearing thick iron armor, completely wrapped up from head to toe, with only their eyes visible to see the road. Their horses were the same way, except for the eyes and nose. The horses were armored from head to tail. All those soldiers looked at Skinny Horse's group. At that moment, a bronze-ranked soldier stepped up. He saluted Skinny Horse. You realized in surprise, Baldy was here too. Only now he was wearing a helmet. You just hadn't recognized him. Skinny Horse returned Baldy's salute. Then soldiers brought everyone a horse. Looks like this will be a long-distance raid, so everyone will have to ride. You swung onto a horse. Kidney-weak young master joked beside you. Well, look at you. I didn't know you could ride. I was thinking of riding together with you. You ignored him and looked toward the others. This time, the short guy was sitting on Skinny Horse's rear, staring in a daze at the constantly twitching Ant Dig. And the big goof was still on foot. With his build, no warhorse could carry him. Young Master Kwakua and Butterfly each rode their own horse. Tattooed Guy and Busty Girl shared a horse. Cross-Eye was right behind them. But you noticed Tattooed Guy seemed off, although he looked unusually flushed. It was very odd. A phrase suddenly popped into your mind. Last light before death. But then you pulled your gaze back and focused on the journey ahead. Baldy led everyone north. They kept going for 2 whole days, stopping and starting along the way, sometimes traveling even at night. Sometimes everyone was full of energy in the daytime, but Baldy had them rest instead. Everyone got along peacefully during this time. Tattooed Guy also seemed to quiet down. But on the 3rd morning, Tattooed Guy suddenly fell off his horse. Everyone was shocked. Baldy got off his horse to check on Tattooed Guy's condition. He then looked up and shook his head at Skinny Horse. Skinny Horse didn't say anything, just nodded. Everyone continued on. As for Tattooed Guy, he was left behind. Maybe before long, the prairie wolves would come for him. Nobody cared about Tattooed Guy's fate. You, on the other hand, looked toward Busty Girl. Now you finally had a chance to see Busty Girl's face. Before, she'd always kept her head down. One look was enough to blow you away. You couldn't help but sigh. You didn't expect there'd be such a beautiful girl in this world, but you were puzzled. Why, after Tattooed Guy died, Busty Girl had no expression at all. No sadness, no joy. As if she didn't care about it at all. Just as you were wondering, Kidney-weak young master came over with a grin. Pretty, isn't she? I'd advise you to stop looking. She's not someone you can mess with. You looked confused at that. Not sure what Kidney-weak young master meant. But he didn't say anything else. Just walked away like that. You ground your teeth in frustration. Damn this cryptic guy. Even though he didn't explain why, you still took his warning seriously and kept your distance from Busty Girl. At that moment, the group suddenly stopped. Baldy stared ahead, his face covered up, so you couldn't see his expression. But the entire atmosphere became tense. By now, the sun was already halfway up the sky. Its heat had evaporated the dew on the grassland into the air. The distant grasslands were shrouded in milky fog everywhere, so you couldn't see what was inside. The whole group was silent. Everyone was waiting for Baldy to make the next move. The next second, the horses started getting restless. Some began snorting. Some started stamping their feet. You squinted, knowing something was about to emerge from the fog, because the white mist in the distance started moving. It was as if a giant beast was stirring things up inside. Maybe the next moment it would open its bloody maw and charge suddenly. The ground started shaking. The white mist in the distance began to churn violently. Suddenly, a few war horses burst out of the mist, with, of course, wild tribe warriors on their backs. Once the wild tribe burst from the fog, they immediately spotted your group without a moment's hesitation. They drew their curved blades and charged with a howl. Baldy raised his sword, and around you came the neat sound of swords being drawn. That sound got everyone fired up. This is where the next battle will happen. Baldy squeezed his legs, and his warhorse dashed forward. The Imperial soldiers behind you charged as well. For a moment, the earth shook around you, and the pounding of hooves filled your ears. You looked at Skinny Horse, but Skinny Horse didn't move. Since Skinny Horse wasn't moving, you simply watched. This was still your first time seeing it. The soldiers of the Tiger Might Battalion are fighting the desert tribe. You're waiting eagerly, expecting to watch a big battle. But the weather isn't cooperating. The fog around gets even thicker. Visibility sharply drops. The desert tribe and Bald Guy's group are instantly swallowed up. Everywhere you look, it's just a sea of white. You can't see any human figures at all. You anxiously scratch your head. All you can hear are the screams from both sides and the shocking sounds of weapons clashing. But you still can't see what's happening on the battlefield. Meanwhile, Skinny Horse Pole is acting totally relaxed. He doesn't seem to want to make a move at all. Everyone else looks unconcerned too. It's as if everything is just how it should be. You're a bit confused. Why is Skinny Horse Pole acting like this? Those few desert tribe warriors just now, not to mention everyone joining in, just a charge from the big guy and the small guy, would be enough to handle them. So why won't Skinny Horse Pole give the order? You suppress your doubts and quietly wait for the outcome. It doesn't take long. The sounds of fighting in the fog gradually fade away. The white fog churns. Bald guy rides out from the fog. His whole body is stained red with blood. But he doesn't care at all. His eyes are full of excitement, like he hasn't killed enough yet. Behind him, all the soldiers of the Tiger Might Battalion come out. But now their horses are carrying something extra. You squint to look. There are several severed heads hanging behind each horse. Those square-shaped heads are clearly all from Desert Tribe members. Looks like the soldiers got quite a harvest this time. These heads can earn them plenty of military merit. At this moment, the sun finally starts to shine. The heat quickly disperses the fog on the grassland. Everything before your eyes becomes clear. On the nearby grassland, there are headless corpses everywhere. Looking at Bald Guy's side, some soldiers are indeed wounded, but not a single one died. You can't help but admire the strength of the Tiger Might Battalion. You faced the Desert Tribe before. These soldiers survived fighting them and managed to kill so many Desert Tribe members. That alone proves how powerful they are. And Bald Guy is as calm as ever, as if he just did something ordinary.
He quickly reorganizes the team.
And they move forward again. But this time Bald Guy doesn't keep them together. He tells everyone to spread out. After that, soldiers keep returning to report on Desert Tribe movements nearby. Bald Guy uses this intel to adjust the team's route. They keep marching for another 2 days. The journey is eventful but safe. There's no more encounters with the Desert Tribe. You know, it's all thanks to Bald Guy. Now you finally understand Bald Guy's role. When they run into the Desert Tribe, he and his group fight on behalf of Skinny Horse Pole's squad. That way, Skinny Horse Pole's team stays strong. Plus, Bald Guy uses his insanely rich battlefield experience to help everyone avoid many Desert Tribe encounters.
The whole team.
Now, quietly, has made it into the heart of the Desert Tribe's northern territory. As the story reaches this point, you still feel a bit excited. What kind of mission could deserve all this caution? At midnight, the whole team is resting in a canyon. Just as you're lost in thought, suddenly your arm feels cold. You turn your head to look. You see a pair of small hands climbing up your arm. The owner of these hands is none other than the big busted girl who's always eye-catching, but somehow lacks presence. You frown and quickly pull your arm out of her grasp. Miss, please show some respect. If you need something, just say it. Don't go grabbing people. The big busted girl flashes you a charming smile. You suddenly feel dizzy. Then she says, "Hey, handsome, I'm hungry." You feel your mind go blank instantly. It's not that you lack willpower. It's just that there's something off about this woman. You feel like your thoughts are slipping out of control. Your arm lifts up, reaching toward the big busted girl. She smiles sweetly at you and acts all shy, like she's a delicious treat waiting for you to enjoy.